Alright, hello everybody. We're going live. Let me know if you can hear me. I'll type it in the chat. I know there's a little bit of a delay, so let's see if we've got everything running properly. Right, so that's pretty much the sound balance. My microphone setup isn't the best, so you'll probably hear like a little bit of extra noise from my controller and everything like that. Alright, thank you guys. Let me pull up my notes just so I had some prepared things that I wanted to talk about before I started, just to kind of set the expectations. So mainly, this is going to be a bit of a casual lore through, just so that I could more or less get footage for more lore videos. This is something I normally do on my own, which is a little bit boring, a little bit tedious. So I thought, since I'm going to be doing this anyway, why not, just kind of sharing the experience. Full disclaimer, I'm not what I would say to be like an expert in any degree when it comes to like Dark Souls 3 lore. I haven't played through 2 completely, so I haven't gone as deep into the Dark Souls lore as the other games. However, I have played this game multiple times. I do know like the larger themes, and over the past few years, some people have asked me like translate some of the items in Dark Souls 3, so I do have some more insight about like some of those items, but not nearly as much as Bloodborne, obviously. It just takes a really long time to go through all of the content and then trying to figure out what's relevant in terms of translation versus context of the game itself. So, aside from that, what else? Oh yeah, so just, I wanted this to be something more of like a community event, a little bit low-key, so I'm not really going to be able to give that kind of insight that I would on a Bloodborne playthrough, so if you guys want to share lore with me or others in the chat, you're more than welcome to. I really just want to foster a community where we can kind of all learn from each other or appreciate each other's views. And going on top of that, just everybody's comments on my video so far, like even if we have civil disagreements, I absolutely appreciate all the kinds of points of view that everybody has shared in there. So I do want to thank everybody who's shown up so far and who's commented on my videos, liked it, all that kind of thing. So thank you. Then next is, oh yeah, so I am new to using a capture card and streaming like this, so there might be some growing pains as we go forward, so please bear with me. I know the video quality won't be the best because my internet isn't the greatest, so I had to like downscale to 720p, but hopefully it won't be too rough on us, and hopefully I won't lose too many frames, so. Alright, so okay, yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to get off of my chest before we began, so once again, thank everybody for stopping in. I'll try to read you guys' messages as we go through, because I know, for me personally, like having these kind of long streams on is kind of like a good substitute for a podcast in some ways. So I do like to read the comments out loud, just so that if, I don't know, somebody's like washing their dishes or taking their dog out, they can just kind of appreciate my train of thought as I go. So. Alright, so, okay, that'll be it, and, let's begin. Oh, I guess I forgot to say, because this is going to be a bit more of a casual playthrough, mostly to get footage, I'm going to, what's the word, I won't, like, take this so seriously, so I'll probably die to certain enemies or bosses on purpose. That's not to say that it's not going to be accidental or completely my lack of skill at times, but just to get some more like cinematic perspectives of everything. So I'll probably also just be summoning people at random times, just to get you guys in the chat if you want to join, and just to get some different perspectives of what it's like to fight certain enemies. And so I'll probably fight the bosses 2 or 3 times each, just to get enough raw footage, and I might just get like grabbed or whatever just to kind of highlight some of their attacks. So before I forget, let me actually start recording this on my end. Okay. So we're going to go ahead and start a new game. You're going to paint some Warhammer while listening to my sweet voice.
Yes, indeed. It is called Lothric, where the transitory lands of the Lords of Cinder converge. In venturing north, the pilgrims discover the truth of the old words. The fire fades, and the lords go without thrones. When the link of fire is threatened, the bell tolls, unearthing the old lords of Cinder from their graves. Aldrich, saint of the deep, Farron's undead legion, the Abyss Watchers. And the reclusive lord of the profaned capital. Yon the giant. Only in truth, the lords will abandon their thrones. And the unkindled will rise. Nameless, accursed undead, unfit even to be cinder. And so it is that ash seeketh embers.
Alright, so that was the opening cutscene. There's some really cool stuff that I don't think I'd really noticed before. Like, it looked like there was almost an abyssal type of blackness in the Firekeeper's, like, mask. So, I don't really have any concrete thoughts about that right now, but that's just something I kind of noticed for the first time. But I really do like that cutscene. It's really cool. I'm going to turn up the game volume a little bit. So hopefully that'll be a little bit better. Let me know if it's a little bit loud in comparison to my voice. I just wanted to make sure that my voice had enough clarity, but I only tested on like the opening screen, so that's a little bit of my fault on the sound mixing. So going to some of the comments, how is the lore of this game compared to Bloodborne? It's a little bit interesting to compare the two because, I mean, Dark Souls 3 does kind of build off of Dark Souls 1 and 2 in different ways. There's kind of a bit of mixed opinions about that from the community. I feel like it's more straightforward overall. There are some more esoteric elements that aren't explained very well in the differences between 1 and 2. But one of the things that I really enjoy about like the Dark Souls 3 lore in general is that it seems like the characters in this game are prone to like human error, or like they're limited by their own knowledge of like history, and it's really cool to see that there are references to the other games, but they're not as you would expect. Like, they're all messed up. So like Drangleic was the kingdom of Dark Souls 2, but they're just called like Drang in Dark Souls 3. So that's one of the things that I enjoy about it. But I really have not given much thought about what kind of equipment I'm going to run throughout this game, this playthrough. So and if you guys have some really good suggestions, that's definitely cool with me. Hey Carlos, nice to see you. And everybody else who's stopped in so far, yeah, thank you for joining. I appreciate it. Not a game full of genius scholars like Bloodborne. Well, it's a different vibe. Like they're similar in that, you know, it's a FromSoft game, so they're going to be vague, but they're also like, one's more medieval and one's cosmic horror, so one is a little bit more attuned to the kind of cryptic nature of how the lore is presented. So I personally prefer Bloodborne. I really like Dark Souls 3 for a lot of things in that to me this is a very Eastern game. If you like understand a bit about Buddhism or Taoism especially, like, I think it helps inform your perspective of how like the kind of philosophies operate in this game, like with the karmic cycles and stuff like that. So my first time playing through this game, I just used the straight sword. I don't know if I want to do that, or the broadsword rather. I might try something different, but I might not. I don't know. The last time I went through Dark Souls 1, I used the Zweihander. I don't know if there's anything quite as OP as that, like in Dark Souls 3, but just trying to figure out what stats I want to go with. I might just go with the warrior. I'm not worried about the appearance right now, just quick little Lorethrough, default character is good enough. So the longsword is perfect for a nice easy start. Yeah, my only regret is that you can only get the one broadsword. I preferred that one's moveset, but controversial, I know. Is DS3 lore more straightforward? It's yes and no. It's kind of hard to explain. I think there's a cutscene, so I'll be quiet for that and then talk after it. So we literally rise out of the ground. We are in the Cemetery of Ash, and as many characters will call us throughout this game, we are the Ashen One. So this tripped me up for a really long time, and I had to go onto like some Discord servers, and I learned a lot from other people about Dark Souls 3 lore, because to me it wasn't very straightforward. Like, compared to Bloodborne's, like the overall narrative is a lot clearer, but a lot of the smaller details are harder to parse and understand just because of how fragmented the details are, I guess. So I think if you like look at the Japanese version of Bloodborne, it's a lot more straightforward and more explicit about things. Like, you can follow things a bit more nicely to a certain degree, but Dark Souls 3 is also building on like literally that time can be convoluted or stagnant, and so that can kind of influence like how the world is literally shaped around the player, whereas in like Bloodborne it's a lot more of a kind of personal way of looking at things at times. So it's just kind of like they're similar, but they're different enough that it's kind of hard to compare the two, in my opinion. So Raka says, as a Hindu, some themes in Dark Souls 3 ring a lot of bells for you. That interests me because I only have like a cursory knowledge of Hinduism, so if you have more to share with that, I'm highly interested in learning more. So Are there good Discord servers for Dark Souls lore? Hawkshaw's is the best I've found. I believe the Ward is a really good one. I'm not super familiar with like a lot of Dark Souls lore servers beyond that, so I know like a lot of the larger ones kind of get bogged down just because like you have a lot of people who don't know what they're talking about and they're just trying to learn more, or it gets a bit more memey at times. But yeah, as Nightingale says, you have a lot to go off of with DS1 as well, so there is more to pick up. So these are just kind of the developer notes. So we do spawn in with a shield and armor and all that kind of stuff. Oh, wow, just one shot. Okay. The Raka says, let's see, Karma for one, reincarnation, you know, lots of stuff you usually heard, of course. It's still quite different from Buddhism, which in Japan is more influenced by. Yeah, and that's kind of one of the harder things for me to reconcile is because, well, I looked at, like, Buddhism more when I was, like, kind of an angsty teenager in high school and just kind of wanted a different perspective of things. My understanding comes from a more Western perspective, so I don't really know like a lot of the intricacies of like the Japanese pantheon as far as like Buddhism goes. I know there's different sects, so it's a little bit hard to reconcile like where some of those differences come from. So we got that jumping attack. And so Ashen Estus Flask, this is a cool one. Now I gotta remember how to actually use everything. Oh god. Okay. So it's in this menu I can hit square. So this is the undead treasure, undead treasure, these dull ashen flasks. Fill with Estus at bonfires and drink to restore FP. Quite befitting of an unkindled. An ashen Estus flask turns a bonfire's heat cold. So that's kind of interesting. I believe like one of the items later on does like kind of mention that the queen gave this, or maybe that's one of the blessings. I don't fully remember. So Estus comes from like Astus in Latin, which is more like a heat flask. So once I found that out, that was a really cool kind of a way to tie in like literal fires to this kind of a nondescript fuel or whatever you want to call it that literally reinvigorates you. So the more heat, the closer you are to fire that you are, like the more health and vitality that you'll have. So that's just kind of one of the cool things about it. So the undead treasure, these dull green flasks, fill with Estus at bonfires and drink to restore HP. The journey of an undead has always traced the bonfires, and no journey of import has been made without an Estus flask. So yeah, it's pretty straightforward. So the dark sign is the sign of an accursed undead. The dark sign returns its spirit to the last bonfire rested at, or the bonfire at Firelink Shrine, but at the cost of all souls held. Carriers of the dark sign were reborn after death and eventually lose their minds, turning hollow. And so it is, they are driven from their homelands. So there's a lot to say about like the dark sign. I don't really have like a lot of finalized thoughts about it. So like Dark Souls 3 is one of the ones where I really do wonder more about how the curse works in general, and we'll probably get into that a lot more later. Trying to figure out how to balance all these comments right now. So if I do miss something, I apologize in advance. Just type it again if you want me to like actually reply to that. So Embargo says, no, what the queen probably placed was the ring in your own grave. In the dark untended graves. Thank you. I knew there was something like that. I just couldn't remember off the top of my head. So yeah, I appreciate the corrections, because as I mentioned, I'm not like the expert at Dark Souls 3 as I am in like Bloodborne. So I appreciate it. So Justin says, you're at work now, but you'll watch the streams? Okay, thank you. I appreciate that. Even if you just step in for a moment. So what the queen gives you is the Ashen Estus ring. Okay. So, thank you, Nightingale. I appreciate your nice comment. So yep, we get, compared to like Bloodborne, we do have shields, and they kind of make Dark Souls 3 a lot easier to me. It just kind of differs up the combat pacing overall. The difference like between like the pacing of Bloodborne to Dark Souls 3, like the big thing would be the incorporation of the rally system in Bloodborne. So if you get hit, you can restore some of that HP within a limited amount of time. Whereas in this, there's more of a dynamic fluidity to like the action in a certain way, so it feels a little bit more turn-based, if that makes sense. I mean, I know it kind of doesn't. Oh yeah, I forgot this one has a kick. So but you can use this to what's the word? Like break people's shield position. So that's a good one too. Parrying and riposting. It's pretty similar. I think it's easier to do, and then in Dark Souls 3 you also have like super easy backstabs compared to like Bloodborne. You don't have to charge up your weapon, so there are a little bit of differences mechanically. So I think like overall, like the mechanics of Dark Souls 3 is really good, and it would probably be my favorite hands down if it had the rally mechanic. But it's all good. It helps being able to appreciate the differences of each game and appreciate what they are. So turn back. This one's a dev note. I actually don't remember if I'm online right now. Probably should have paid a little bit more attention. So up ahead there's like a really big crystal lizard. I'll probably deal with that just because I'm stubborn and want to know all that. So Unattained says the Tao Te Ching. Highly recommend reading that. I agree 100%. That'll help like understand Taoism and a lot of like the duality that's present within Dark Souls especially. And so Dark Souls 3 makes you rely on shield some more. Yes and no. Like you can also use like the big two-handed weapons, and oh, I guess I am online because we get some of these bloodstains here. So this guy just kind of rolled off to his death. Maybe I should go offline just for footage at times. I don't know. Maybe not. We'll figure it out. And so we finally get our first bonfire. So I don't exactly know how or why like the Ashen one can just kind of like light bonfires. I suppose it's similar to just like the normal way of like there's no real explanation for like how or why they're chosen. It's just kind of one of those things that you just have to roll with. So poise is working as intended. Oh yeah, poise is another great addition to like Dark Souls as compared to like Bloodborne. So there is a lot more value in the armor to Dark Souls. It's been a while since I faced this guy. So I've got a short range axe. DS3 has a pseudo rally effect with the Pontiff's left eye ring, but it's not so good. Interesting. I don't remember that. I forget how little it heals at first. I say that, but like my first time I played through this game, I didn't realize that the bone shard upgrades were like permanent to the Estus. So I didn't upgrade any of them until I think it was literally right after I killed Sullivan, because I thought it worked on a per bonfire basis. So I was like, screw it, I might just that was bad. Read. You know what, I'm pretty proud of myself for downing that guy the first try. It's been a few years since I've played this. I don't remember if there's any items. Okay, I thought there was. Just some Sovereignless Souls. And I'll look at those once we go back to the bonfire. Hello, Isaac Gonzalez. Nice to see you for dropping in. Thank you. Ami Zuno, and nice to see you as well. Senshin and you are watching while you have lunch. I hope you enjoy your lunch. And thank you for watching. Yeah, so I wish I was a little bit better at being able to read chat and play, so it might take me a minute just to get it to everybody's messages as we go through. Oh, so we learned a gesture, resting. So, check our inventory. So, the fading soul of a corpse, used to gain a smattering of souls. Let the Firekeeper transform the sovereignless soul into a source of strength, for to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls. So that's one of the things that's really interesting, like, the souls in Dark Souls aren't, like, permanent. Like, if you die, you'll lose them, and there's, like, a lore significance to it. When you're hollow, like, you'll crave souls and, like, lose your memories, although that's kind of more of a Dark Souls 2 thing. And in this one, you're an Ashen one, so you're not really even human to begin with, so that's kind of, like, one of the weird ones. Mensch says, Jerksan's Frontier Bastards Curse is fantastic for understanding the culture roots of From's games and how to connect them to the games and their lore. Interesting. So one of the things that fascinates me about, like, the souls in this and humanity is I saw this article on Wikipedia about Hunan Po. I'm probably mispronouncing that because it's, like, Chinese and tonal, but it's like the duality of souls is in terms of, like, old Chinese beliefs, and so, like, some believe that, like, there's a white soul, and I don't want to say, like, a dark soul, but it's just kind of, like, different. And so you're born with more, like, of an animal soul, and as you, like, get older, you get more intelligence because of, like, the darker aspect of the soul, and the wider portion of the soul is also, like, more associated with the moon and animal bestial instincts. So I do wonder if there's parallels between that and Dark Souls and even Bloodborne as well when we compare, like, Blood Echoes to Insight. So yeah, so this is a soul found in the corpse of an unknown traveler used to acquire souls. Let the Firekeeper transfer. Okay, that's exactly the same. Okay, just being a derp. And so every time you do go to the bonfire, the enemies will respawn. Obviously, we didn't kill these ones yet, so that's why. I mean, they would have been here anyway. I don't know what I'm saying. Oh, I thought that was going to be backstab. Trying to show that off. Does this thing have... Huh, I just didn't take damage, I guess. So yeah, one of the more, like, weird things to learn about, like, how Dark Souls actually functions is how do damage values work. And so okay, you can see that I took a little bit of chip damage. Some fire bombs, which is nice. I don't even remember how to equip anything. Okay, I have to go here. Okay. Really has been a minute since I played. So yeah, going back to the damage value, so my shield will prevent 79% of, like, physical damage, so even if I block things, I'll still take a little bit of damage. When I was first playing, like, Dark Souls 1, I was so upset with the state of shield just because I didn't understand how they worked properly. So I was wondering why I was, like, still taking damage. I thought shields were worthless, and then I figured out, like, oh, you need shields that actually, like, mitigate certain damage types if you don't want to take damage. And so, like, once you figure that out, the shields really do become really strong, and they kind of trivialize a decent amount of the gameplay. But there's just kind of the fun of exploring. Oh, I needed to actually jump. I didn't read that dev note. So you can do a plunging attack, and that's how you would have killed, like, that one dude. And Bootstrap, welcome to the stream. Thank you for that nice comment. I appreciate that. The souls you gather are different than humanity. Yes, and so they are related some ways, but not really at the same time. They seem like to be like two halves of a coin. Oh yeah, this one you gotta jump in on the stick. So like souls are the base form of life in this game, and the dark soul is different. Souls, the sovereignless ones, are more associated with the fire, obviously, and so like the dark soul is a bit of an enigma, and it's related to humanity. And speaking of humanity, just a couple weeks ago, I was like looking at the Japanese word for it, and I never really like thought about it very much, but basically, when you think of humanity in English, you might think of like, you know, base humanity. I don't know. I'm phrasing it terribly, but the Japanese for it is a little bit closer to like human quality. So it isn't necessarily that like whatever has humanity is human. It's more like having humanity makes you more human-esque, if that makes more sense. So that was just kind of an interesting thing to think about. So like perhaps like the rats that you find in Dark Souls that are more able to speak and they'll drop humanity, it could just be because they're more human-esque than like actual humans or anything like that. So that's just kind of one of those things that I was wondering about. So this will be the first boss of the area. I don't have my binoculars yet, otherwise I'd zoom in. If we look in real close, we can kind of see that there's like this black stuff on his back. And so, oh yeah, he doesn't aggro, you just have to pull it out. So yeah, okay, I forgot. So yeah, he's got like these black tendrils growing out of his back. That's part of the pus of man. And so, probably talk about that more in a little bit. I'm just not sure how much depth I want to go into. And if others have like more to share about that, that's perfectly fine by me. But before dealing with, I don't really know how to pronounce it. It's like Iudex Gundyr. Iudex is more like a Latin term for judge, and I had no idea about that. It kind of just took me looking at the Japanese for his name to be like, oh, this dude. Well, judge isn't like the right. It's more like an examiner might be like a better way to talk about it, because judge could like mean more like more of a judicial court type sense. So he's more like here to test Ash to see if they're worthy to become bearers of like the sword and whatnot. So Embargo says common white souls are derived from the first flame, but humanities are shards of the actual dark soul. Yes, thank you. It's interesting considering the dark soul came from the first flame as well, yet it still separates from the other lord souls. Yeah, so you pull the sword out of him, and the sword seemed to have been containing what was inside of him. I don't remember if we can parry him so well. Can't parry like that for sure. What? Oh, I didn't realize how much damage it did to him. So once the Pus of Man comes out, he gets some more extra attacks. It looks like he's got like a serpent coming out of him. And it could be even related to dragons. I know there are like some YouTubers, Loretubers, who really went into really good depth. I don't want to misconstrue who said it, because I'm honestly like not terribly familiar. So if anybody knows like what YouTubers said it, but like if you look at these Pus of Men closely, it looks like they've got almost like dragon scales coming out of the top of their heads. And so just so you know, I am like kind of dying a bit on purpose here, just to show this off a little bit, because I am recording. you never know when you want like footage for that kind of thing. So, but now I can read that the chat again. So Devin Riley says, like an inspector, yes. Iudex is Inquisition, like an inquisitor. Yes and no. Like an English inquisitor kind of more gives like vibes of what's the word? Interrogating somebody like for crimes. And so I mean, that might be what Iudex means. You could be completely valid with that. I'm just going with what I remember from like the Japanese. Like it has a little bit of a connotation of like he's examining like the fitness of the Ashen ones that'll come to challenge him. So going back. So honestly, the Pus of Man on Iudex Gundyr only makes sense in the context that Gundyr was actually Osiros, a boss covered in Pus of Man in an area full of pus hollows. Yeah, there is a lot of a kind of a mismatch enemy placement. So he would have certainly done a really good job as like a boss in that area in the garden. Yeah, I didn't realize how much damage the axe does to begin with. And so these Pus of Men are also pretty weak to fire. So if I use like the fire bombs, they'll deal a ton of damage to him. And there are like these gigantic coffins in this area, which almost seems like this would have been where Nito was, or the Tomb of the Giants in Dark Souls 1, which kind of aligns with like the Firelink Shrine over there in the background. I mean, obviously, like it would have been way more spread out in the original Dark Souls, but with, like the lands converging, it could just mean like the actual geography of this world has been shifting as like the flame has been dying. The first flame, that is. So I remember this dude being a lot harder. Maybe it's just like the warrior is a little bit stronger to start off with. I don't know. Oh, I should probably get my souls. Alright, so looking at chat. Do you think the coffin in the area belongs to Nito, since the opening we see Aldrich wandering through an area, which looks like the Cemetery of Ash? Maybe also wields Nito's weapon. Thank you, Condi. That's actually a really good comment. I didn't think about it that way, but that actually makes a lot of sense. So, I mean, I obviously don't know like how true that is, but I do like it, and I think it could be valid and hold up a bit. Ooh, that's cool. And so yeah, I'm probably going to try to get grabbed a bit more, just to get some more of that cinematic quality going off. The giant coffin is Yorm's. In the original plans, Yorm's was the tutorial boss, not Gundyr. Interesting. Basically, it makes sense that the Pus of Man appears here, since beating Osiris leads to a secret area identical to this one. Yeah, I agree. Is this dude gonna grab me again? Probably fight him once more, try to get a good grab off, and then beat him. So Eric Gondo says there's a candidate video on Dark Souls 3 lore, The Truth Behind the Pus of Man. It might have been that video. I wanted to say candidate, but I also didn't want to give credit to the wrong person. So thank you for bringing that video up. So yeah, I think maybe I might like later on compile like a good source of like just a bunch of like lore or lore related materials and like make a quick video about it, just like supplementary materials. So as like others are pointing out, like the Tao Te Ching is a really good resource for like kind of understanding some of the more like Eastern concepts that goes into Dark Souls. I think maybe incorporating stuff like that. And then for like Bloodborne, there's a user in a couple of the Bloodborne servers named Bad Lad, who's like really gone and compiled like a lot of the resources for what was said to have been on like Miyazaki's shelf. So those are going to be some like cool things to look at, like a lot of the occultist stuff. Oh, duh, I should turn off my HUD. What the hell am I doing? That should have been the first thing I did. Where is it? So because I goofed, I actually am going to run back through like that cemetery and kill things, except for like the crystal lizard, which is now dead, but that's fine. Like if I ever really needed that footage, I could literally just start the game and get it in 3 minutes. So yeah, so that's kind of like one of the hidden things about like making lore videos and stuff like this. Like I like to have the HUD off just to get a more cinematic experience. But it does make things a bit more difficult, obviously. And so, if I do try to get footage, sometimes I like to kite bosses to good positions where I can get like cool looking visuals. So even though I died there, I'm not mad. That actually looks kind of cool to me, so. And Ramus says, you think they decided to put it here even if it doesn't makes much sense because in terms of the game mechanics, it introduces the phases bosses like Bloodborne. Yeah, that's a decent point. Yeah, that's kind of one of the interesting things about like comparing like game design to like enemy placement and things like that. So there is like lore reasons for doing things, and then there's also more like game designy reasons for like having levels set out a certain way. And so like having this drop down and like introduces some aspects of verticality. So like all these dev notes are for. So you bring up a pretty good point with like that aspect of things. And so these guys like kind of introduce ranged attacks. So. Devin says, you appreciate how Gundyr's kingly design evokes Demon Souls King Doran. And Dark Souls is Eastern philosophy under Western aesthetics. I agree. And I kind of think that's true of Bloodborne in many ways as well. Oh yeah, Souls. That's the one I should parry. That one wasn't too bad. We should transform now. I'm gonna try to kite him like towards the edge, just to get a bit of a better view, maybe. That's not my favorite, but it'll work. And so once you do get him, we do get that coiled sword. Some ability to rest at the bonfires, and I think we can. No, we can't level up yet, so we do need to go to Firelink Shrine. So let's go ahead and check out this item. So this is a sword missing from the shrine bonfire. Cannot be equipped as a weapon. Thrust into the shrine bonfire to restore its power and enable travel between bonfires. This sword is only bequeathed to chosen Ash, as judged by the Iudex, who waits the arrival of Ash as a scabbard. So he's obviously the scabbard of the sword since it was sticking in him. And so this kind of what I was talking about earlier. It's like the chosen Ash is judged by the judge, the Iudex. So I mean, I wouldn't have gotten that just from English. So I mean, it's obviously clear like what he does, but just like the name alone, I had no idea that this dude was judging our fitness to be the chosen Ash. So going back to the chat, Raka says, you're a bit curious to use the claw grip when playing Bloodborne and Dark Souls. No, I just hold the controller fairly normally, but my thumbs are also double jointed, so it's, I don't know, not too terrible for me. So Nightingale says, you feel the Ashen One essentially doesn't go hollow until Yol arrives, or until Yol gives the Dark Sigil, because when you failed to link the first flame, you burned your humanity away as it's shown in Dark Souls 1 to link bonfires. So one of the things that I've wondered about like Yol and the Dark Sigil is, since we're Ash, like we presumably don't have any humanity, so by getting that sigil, is that what like gives us the humanity? And if so, does that mean we're getting Yol's kind of humanity? Or is it more like opening a rift to the abyss where humanity lies? But we'll talk about that more when we get to it, I suppose. Gnosis is the root of the word, if you're not wrong. Protag is playing a good game for once, holy shit. Okay guys, so the Red Scholar, he's really extremely familiar with Dark Souls lore, so he'll probably be able to like correct me or provide a lot more insight about like some of the more intricate stuff as we go along here. So get a broken straight sword from this guy. Not much to really say about those, and we do get some more dev notes. But we do get some pretty views out there. So we see like a lot of the mountains. And so this is the Firelink Shrine. I didn't totally not get that vibe my first time I was playing through Dark Souls 3. I just was just kind of rolling with it. Like even though I played through it and it was called the Firelink Shrine, like I really didn't even think it was Dark Souls 1's or supposed to be that one. So we do get a Homeward Bone. So let's go ahead and check out some of them items. Alright, so Bloodborne and Dark Souls are also sort of Kafka-esque. Yeah, I would agree with that. And so, Comrade Dornish, welcome. You say, the theme of Gnosis isn't believing in the resurrection of Christ, but in rejoining the invisible virgin spirit in heaven due to our divine spark. There's a ton of branches. Interesting. I don't know much about that at all. Somebody did like make a really interesting comment to me about like how Lawrence as a representative of Jesus could represent the Word of God, and that's linked to fire somehow. I really don't know too much about that, but that just kind of sounded really fascinating, and so hopefully he might make a video about that or something in the future. So, McSchmoopy, hey man, glad to see you tackle another Lorethrough. Can't wait to learn how many things of this game are actually called Shinpi in the original Japanese. I haven't looked at a ton of things in Japanese, but I think overall, just with the way that Dark Souls 3 is presented, it's a little bit easier to grasp than like Bloodborne, whereas I feel like a lot of the more important things were kind of just a little bit off in like the notes, and that's where you get a lot of the information, unfortunately. So, Venom says, what you don't understand is, if we play as Unkindled Ash without humanity, why do we start out with the Dark Sign? Yeah, that's one of the other things I do wonder. Some of my thoughts could be that, like, the way of being, like, an Unkindled Ash might be similar to, like, the original, like, hollowed form of, like, the Furtive Pygmy or something like that. I mean, obviously you don't have to take that as true to any degree, but, like, before the gods found the first flame and became gods, were they more similar in the nature to like an unkindled ash or a hollow? So I thought there was a knight around here. Alright, let's just go in the Firelink Shrine first. And then put in the coiled sword. It took me like a really long time to figure out that I actually needed to put the the sword in the bonfire here. So let's go ahead and talk to the Firekeeper first.
Welcome to the bonfire, unkindled one. I am a firekeeper. I tend to the flame, and tend to thee. The lords have left their thrones, and must be delivered to them. To this end, I am at thy side. Ashen One, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls. Sovereignless souls will become thy strength. I will show thee how. Ashen One, bring me souls plucked from their vessels. Ashen One, to be I will Ashen.
Alright, so that kind of sets up the Ashen One as like the vessel for souls, as she just very bluntly states there. So yeah, does the Ashen One necessarily have humanity to begin with, since we have like the dark sign? Probably. I mean, we do have like the stature of a normal human, but we cannot do like the other normal human things, like we spawned out of the ground, so the whole concept of an Ashen One is a bit more of a mystery to me. And so when we talk about like Ashen One and like the first flame, like we could just be like a literal incarnation or an avatar of the first flame. That could be kind of what the player represents. And so we could presumably be made out of the ashen remains of like humans, and so that could describe why we have it. But it is also curious to me as to whether or not that implies like at one point we were a human champion, or like one who failed to become it. Like that's kind of what it implies. Like the whole intro cutscene starts out as like, oh god, everybody sucks so hard, so y'all suck so much that this dude literally has to come out of the dead, and he sucks, which is kind of true because he's made out of ash. He is not going to be good kindling for a flame. And so that's a little bit more explicit in the Japanese, if I remember correctly, but I mean, it's still pretty clear in English as well. It's just like, yeah, so Red Scholar says, you always thought of it like this: ashes can't burn, so your dark sign can't burn the humanity or souls that you have. That's why the game makes a big deal out of unkindled being a vessel for souls, because you hold on to them better. And then Danjo says, if you notice the dark sign item icon is empty, you always inferred that the dark sigil received fills that empty spot. I agree.
Farewell, Ashen One. May the flames guide thee.
Let's double check. So yeah, it's kind of interesting because it does look a bit different from the one even in like Dark Souls 1, I think. So Way of White Circlet. I'm not worried about that right now. So, did I read this? Yes, I did. I'll worry about the weapons and stuff later. It's actually a little bit harder to balance everything with more people in chat. So, we've always been branded, but to no effect until we gain sigils. Maybe. It's kind of weird. So, here's the Shrine Handmaiden.
A pleasure to make thine acquaintance, Ashen One. I am but a humble handmaid of the shrine. Weapons, armor, trinkets, and spells. I've lots of little things to ease the burden of a weary traveler. And yes, I'm undead too, but not so charitable as to give my goods away. Ashen One, fetch souls and bring them to me. As is thy wont? No?
So we can get items from her, obviously, and then so Comrade Dornish asked if fire and darkness is sort of like yin and yang. I think that's probably a good take on it. Although there might be like a little bit of a spin, just as like Dark Souls is kind of an original creation. Like apparently like disparity is brought about as a result of the flame. So like some characters, I think it's in Dark Souls 2, they say like the stronger the light, the deeper the shadow. They say something along those lines. I think it's King Vendrick. So yeah, it's a little bit different, but I think generally there is like a lot of that concept of duality that's interwoven into Dark Souls. And then once you get a bit further away from that, and if you like try to go beyond the duality, I think that's more like towards the realm of dragons and stasis. But we'll talk about that more later. So Eric Gondo, you have to leave. Thank you for joining. Hopefully we'll see you again soon. So,
Ashen One, if my wares are not to thy satisfaction, bring me umbral ash. With ash, I'll fashion new wares. Is it not our sorry fate to sup on death?
So yeah, that's one of the cooler things I think about like the Dark Souls lore in general is like all of these people are essentially damned. They're undead, and that sounds a bit like if generally if you think of undead, you might think of something more like the ghosts and ghouls and goblins and things like that. There is maybe a bit more of like a religious connotation attached to it in Japanese. I don't remember if what she just talked about being undead is related to what they call hollows, because there are subtle differences between like the Japanese used at times. That's something that I'll probably need to delve into on my own time later and like really try to piece this together, and I imagine it'll take a long time actually, just because there's 3 games. But there's a difference between like being undead versus like being undead to the point that you're hollowed, and I think that one is called like molja, which is like being lost and forced to wander in like a Buddhist context. And so to me, when I think of like the molja, I think of like the little dudes in New Londo that are just so dejected they don't even respond if you attack them or kill them. So that's just kind of some crazy stuff. So the flow time's convoluted and stuff. That's really the only explanation. Each undead is their own world, is in their own world. So Isaac asks, how did the other unkindled like Frida and Sigurd get out of the cemetery without fighting Gundyr? That's one of the things that is never really explained very well.
Be sure to bring more souls.
And that's the kind of thing that I wonder as well. And it is really cool that we do get like a bunch of NPCs that are like kind of in the same situation as we are, and we see that they kind of cope with things differently. So this guy's kind of a good contrast, I think, to what you bring up.
Ah, another one roused from the sleep of death. Well, you're not alone. We unkindled are worthless. Can't even die right. Gives me conniptions. And they'd have us seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. But we're talking true legends, with the metal to link the fire. Not fit to lick their boots.
So I just really love this dude's dialogue, just because, I mean, he's obviously reminiscent of like the Crestfallen Knight in Dark Souls 1. But I just like the idea of like the Crestfallen Knight in a future age, and that's pretty much this dude exactly. I mean, obviously there are differences later on, but the fact that linking the fire is such a big deal, and the people that did it are legends, and so comparing himself to those people is kind of weird to me, just because like if you've played the other Dark Souls, you kind of know what goes into that, and you do know like a lot of the NPCs kind of are a bit worthless in that regard, but like ultimately, like if you do try to fight this dude, he can still beat the shit out of you. So I don't know what to make of stuff like that. Sometimes it's just kind of interesting. If you just take it at a more meta level, like what allows you to link the fire is more like the literal character's will and perseverance to continue. Like you don't need to level up at all. So it's not really the souls that allow you to link the flame. It's something intangible within all of these games. And so that's something at a meta level I just really like about all of them. It's having that intestinal fortitude to just kind of triumph in the face of adversity. And so like in Bloodborne, for example, like literally your HP is your will to live. So it really doesn't get much clearer than that in my opinion. before looking at chat and before I forget. The other thing that he brought up was like linking the flame. I didn't realize this until I looked at the Japanese, but like when I had no idea what linking the flame was like the first time I played Dark Souls. Although I mean, to be fair, like when I was going through, I was just more or less playing it as an arcade game, and I didn't even really get like a good vibe of what it was when I like watched the lore videos way back in like 2013 or whatever it was. But linking is essentially more like inheriting the flame. So once I learned about it in that context, it made a bit more sense to me that like Gwyn inherited the flame into his body, like he became the vessel for that first flame, which is what allowed the age to flourish for however long it did. And that's what like the undead, the chosen undead did as well, or didn't do, depending on how canon you want to take each game or the endings of each game. So that's that. Let's go back to the chat. So Red Scholar says the Pretas could be an inspiration for the undead and or hollows. Fundamentally very similar. Yeah, so there is like a lot of like the Buddhist stuff, like the Mahayana Buddhist stuff that kind of ties into things a bit better. And so like I was mentioning earlier, like it is a bit difficult at times like trying to reconcile like Japanese style Buddhism versus like somebody in Japan who is more interested in like the mainland style Buddhism versus more of like the atheistic, nihilistic Adam Watts type Buddhism, because there's kind of elements of all of those in this. And so it's really interesting to me just trying to figure out what pieces together in which way. And I mean, obviously it doesn't have to go a certain way, and a lot of it is up to individual interpretation. So unless there's several coiled swords and several bonfires in Firelink Shrine without a sword, it doesn't make sense. Yeah, that's a really good point. So the way that I interpret like Sigurd and all of those others, they could have just been ash to some degree, but obviously like they had different circumstances for how they came to be. So I know I don't have a good answer for that. So if somebody else does, by all means. So you think undeath is more like a gray area between life and death? Yeah, and I think undeath and being undead in general ties into a lot of themes of like stagnation and being attached to the world. Like going back to the idea of like Buddhism and karma, like being attached to the world is like what keeps people there, but that attachment is like too strong and it's so severe it ends up becoming like impure and harmful, and so that kind of leads to a lot of bad things. And so I think like Dark Souls 3 as an overall like game is really critical of being too attached to the world, because like if you look at Gwyn and whatnot, like him choosing to extend the Age of Fire could be seen as like literally going against like the law of nature. Obviously he is overriding those laws to a certain extent, but I almost feel like the consequence of those kinds of actions would be that like by continuing to extend the flame, it also makes the darker and more evil things come out of it. So like that's what like the undead curse is kind of a product of, and it causes people to become less people-like. I don't really know how I want to phrase that, but like in Dark Souls 3 it gets to the point where like you end up having the deep and Aldrich and all that kind of stuff, and like the locusts. So the abyss begins to gain its own form and its own kind of sentience. So that's kind of one of the interesting things that I enjoy about 3 compared to like Dark Souls 1. So Nightingale says, as Venom said, convoluted time is a concept in Dark Souls, but we could also assume there are other occasions where Ashen Ones can rise. Yes, that's a very fair point. There is no like set in stone law that like, hey, only Ashen Ones can arise in this spot. So that's a very fair point. So look at this nerd. What's up, Sunshine? So Nightingale, you think that makes more sense? It seems obvious to you that Anri and Horus didn't rise from the untended graves, but probably from where they died near the cathedral. There might be more than one coiled sword or bonfires Gundyr is protecting. We can fight 2 different Gundyr in the game. So what if the others also had to fight their own versions of Gundyr? And yeah, that also ties up into like how time is convoluted. Like in Dark Souls 1, Solaire talks about ages from heroes past, or was it the Crestfallen Knight, showing up. And so like Logan almost seems like he already had his legends finished by the time Dark Souls 1 starts, but he's walking around and that just kind of like astounds people. So there is a little bit of a time, space, shenanigans going on. Nevermore asks if I'm aware of cut stuff from this game. Game in current state almost makes no sense because of it. Slightly. I am not like super familiar with Dark Souls 3 to begin with, so my knowledge of like the cut content is a bit cursory. And so now that I've talked for so long, I'm going to have to progress a little bit.
Don't you think? What a sick joke. Asking us to seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. We're talking true legends, those who would link the fire. We're not fit to lick their boots.
And so I think that's that for now. And on these back of these thrones, you can actually see like there are engravings. So Yorm the Giant of the Profane Capital. Oh, and I guess that reminds me. So Profane Capital is more like the capital of sin in Japanese. And so that might be more related to like, what is it, like the scholar of the first sin and all that stuff from Dark Souls 2 that I really don't know anything about. So we'll talk about that more later. Just something that stood out to me when I was like looking over some of the translations that a few people asked me to look at. Watchers of the Abyss. So I do like there's like a bunch of swords on this one, and that like the size of each throne does kind of correspond to them, although Yorm would be way bigger than this, I think, but yeah. That's really cool. Holy King Lothric, last hope of his line. And so just going back into like people being like crestfallen and not giving a damn anymore, it's like all of the people who've already linked are like, no, this sucks. We're not going to do this, and we're not going to go on those thrones. And so it takes the chosen, the Ashen One, to get their heat, except from like Ludleth here, and return their ashes to the throne, so that way they could link the fire and like get enough of the requisite strength to do it. So Saint Aldrich of the Deep, and we'll have a lot to talk about with all of them as we progress. Let's talk to Ludwig. Ludleth.
O that unkindled, and a seeker of lords. I am Ludleth of Corland. Look not in bewilderment as I say. I linked the fire long ago, becoming the Lord of Cinder. If substantiation be thy want, set thine eyes upon my charted course. This sad cadaver, no need to be coy. Have a closer look. Knowest thou of our purpose? 5 thrones will take 5 lords as kindling for the linking of the fire. The fast fading flame must be linked to preserve this world. A reenactment of the first linking of the fire. So it is, I became a Lord of Cinder. I may be but small, but I will die a Colossus.
So yeah, Ludleth is definitely one of the cooler lords. He kind of takes his sense of duty pretty strongly here. I don't remember if it's in this dialogue, but he does refer to himself as a Kojin, which is like the exact same phrase as what they used for the furtive pygmy. Ko means like little, and Jin is like person, so yeah. So that does tie in a lot of questions as to whether or not Ludleth or humans in general can be understood to be the pygmies. I mean, I think they should be understood as pygmies just because like the nature of the Dark Soul and the furtive pygmy, like if they're supposed to be related to Manus, the father of the Abyss, and all of that kind of stuff, I think it's natural to assume that if the pygmy found the Dark Soul, like wow, I'm forgetting the primordial serpent's names. Frampt is the good one? Koth. Okay, jeez. That took me a minute. So yeah, like, so if Koth is right in saying like that the furtive pygmy found the Dark Soul, if that's true, then I think that would mean that like humans themselves should be thought of as pygmies. So forgive my mental lapse there.
Knowest thou of our purpose? 5 thrones will take 5 lords as kindling for the link the fire. We show it, I may.
So yeah, if I had the binoculars, I'd show him off a bit better. So as you can see, he is like kind of burnt. He doesn't have.
Do not be away over long.
He doesn't really have legs. His skin is like totally charred, and he's kind of got like the Darth Vader eyes going on. Ludlith is Darth Vader. Changed my mind, but not really. And so the final throne belongs to. Oh yeah, I already checked that. And I forget, because I'm always used to playing Dark Souls 1, I always forget that it's actually like the fire keepers that allow us to level up. I'm just used to being able to do it at bonfires, and I don't think about it. I know Dark Souls 2 is kind of what introduced it, and so if anybody has any ideas as to why it changed other than like game mechanics, I'd definitely be interested in hearing that. So Echo Fiend says, assuming when you give him the profane coal, he isn't just being hyperbolic when he says, where'd you happen upon this coal? This is much too dark, I see the abyss in it. So Comrade Dornish, pygmy is kind of a term for an African ethnic group. And so, yeah, it's kind of like one of those unfortunate products of language where the term can be disambiguated from like what it means with like in relation to a race, but it's still used to describe things. It's just kind of unfortunate, but I wasn't the one that chose pygmy, at least. I think another word that you can choose for it is homunculus, but that could also just like make people think of like things in like Full Metal Alchemist. So the furtive pygmy is so easily forgotten. Okay.
Ashen, produce the coiled sword at the bonfire. The mark of ash will guide thee to the land of the lords, to Lothric, where the homes of the lords converge. Very well. Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
And so it's interesting with the Firekeeper that we touched the darkness within her to level up. Firekeepers are like a draw for humanity. So humanity is like attracted to the Firekeepers because of some quality within them, probably because they're adjacent to the first flame or something like that. So one of the things that I've wondered is whether or not it's the first flame that consumes like humanity when you restore humanity in like Dark Souls 1, or whether or not it's the opposite, and so you're offering more of the flame to humanity, and that might have been why like Gwyn was scared of the dark, because the dark was literally consuming the light. Which, I mean, if you think of like a metaphor of like a literal like fire at night, if the fire begins to fade, it almost seems as though it's being swallowed by darkness to an extent. So I do kind of wonder like where those metaphors really fit in and just how exactly all that ties together. So Alex says, you think they've stated that pygmies and humans are not the same? In Dark Souls there are some tall, normal size, and small people. That might be true, and some of that might have been a bit more retconned with like the Ringed City and all of that. I'm not too familiar with that, so if people can clarify that for me, I'd appreciate it. So Esteban says, if you remember by Dark Souls 2 rolls around, the bonfires and firekeepers are essentially being like mass produced, and they have been experimented upon extensively by Aldia. Yeah, that's an interesting point, and I also think like Seath might have originally tried doing something along those lines, because he was experimenting with maidens and looking into the nature of the soul, and that's what drove him mad, and that was a thing that they were also doing in Dark Souls 2, and of course like some of the characters in that game were inspired by Seath. So, well, like I said, I haven't played through like Dark Souls 2 completely. I am familiar with like some of its bigger points, but like the real specifics I just don't know too much about.
Burrow deep within me, retreating to a darkness beyond the reach of flame. Let them assume.
So Bridge says, I thought the dark was something of substance in the Souls universe rather than just absence of light. And yeah, that's exactly like one of the things that makes it interesting as far as like how things really kind of tie together. So since I'm going to be playing with the HUD off, I might as well boost up that vitality. And then let's go ahead and talk to Andre.
Well, a newcomer, I see. I am Andre. I serve at this shrine as a humble smith, forging weapons. You're in search of the Lords of Cinder, I trust. A toilsome journey, I'd wager. You'll require good arms. Let me smith you weapons. I am a smith. Such is my purpose.
So this is where we can like switch a lot of our Estus. So like the Ashen one, which is cold, is what ties it to magic. I don't really intend to use magic, so I'm just going to go ahead and go back to the normal Estus flask for more HP to be a scrub. Okay, so we don't need to repair anything quite yet. So we can use some of that Titanite, which I've gotten so far. Oh, I guess I don't have the right. Not enough. Okay.
Weapons and protection are sturdy enough by and large, but when overused, they'll eventually break. When their durability is low, repair becomes a necessity. Use a powder, or simply rest at a bonfire. But should chance impel them break, bring them me. I'll hammer them back into shape. They take no pleasure in breaking, I assure ye. So handle them with care, if you would.
Right, so that kind of establishes the mechanics. I forget in Dark Souls 3 it does automatically repair weapons if they're not broken. So Yang Wengli asks what build I'm doing. I don't really know yet. Probably just like a stupid strength or quality build. Maybe try a two-handed weapon for a difference in this game. I haven't done that yet, so... I also do like the Legends of the Galactic Heroes, so I appreciate that nickname here. So the Red Scholar says, the difference between pygmies and humans is still highly debated. Personally, you don't find it very likely that the game would call them different things and never refer to pygmies directly as humans. Well, that might also tie back into what I was talking about with like humanity not being humanity. It's more like human quality. So who's to say for sure? There is a bit of a questionable claims one can make going in one direction or the other, so it's probably something I'll examine a bit more later on, probably like off stream, just to like look at the different things, I suppose, but I'm not sure I'll ever even find like a complete answer for that myself. So you think it works to think of pygmies as proto-humans rather than strictly humans themselves, regardless of the fact that they have humanity. I think that's a fair point.
Be careful. I don't want to see my work squandered.
So that's a pretty iconic line, pretty be careful. And so with pretty much all of the NPCs done for now, I mean, Andre might have like a few extra lines, but they don't add too much, I don't think, quite yet. Try to get a cinematic look at this. I could probably do better, but whatever. So, Alex says, you think we're talking about pygmies as actual small, and here's your thinking. Both the pygmy that is Lord and the pygmy at the end of the Ring City are extremely short. Then we have normal-sized people like the daughters of the Witch of Izalith. Then there's the tall people like the Witch of Izalith, or like any other of the gods. Yeah, so that's kind of like one of the weirder things about it. I'll worry about that later. Just like the enemy sizes in general. But yeah, it's kind of hard to make that kind of statement because like when you look at like Sekiro, like a lot of that stuff really doesn't add up, and a lot of it might just be for legibility, which can be disappointing, I suppose, but I appreciate like trying to make sense of what we have for sure. So Donjo says, Koth refers to the furtive pygmy as the progenitor of man, so regardless if they're actually different, it's pretty clear humans came from pygmies. Yes. So Red says, yeah, I wouldn't say that being in possession of humanity makes you human per se. Things get a bit messy if you take it that way. For sure, for sure. Make a guts build? Yeah. Oh yeah, there is that totally huge sword. Maybe I will. We'll find out. So we get like another kind of coiled sword motif going on. And so this is the high wall of Lothric, obviously. I really don't know what to make of this place to begin with, like why we can warp here of all places. So maybe this was supposed to be the bonfire, but it's broken and that's what we got warped to. So, yeah. So this might be the door lore red that Bro was looking for. So like these doors right here match up the kind of door great shields. I think it's in Dark Souls 2. I don't remember what it was. So, I really like the scenery when you step out here. So this is like the high wall of Lothric. Kind of reminds me of Yharnam now that I think about it. Like that over there kind of reminds me of like the Astral Clock Tower, the bridges between like what's the Cleric Beast and like Father Gascoigne, and then like Central Yharnam over there, maybe? I don't know. I mean, obviously, it's not what it is. It's just the layout, now that I look at it like this, kind of reminds me of that. So, I don't think there's anything too much. So, as we look out, we can see, like, there's a bunch of... I don't know if these things are actually called dragons. They're probably more like drakes. And so, dilapidated castle fits the medieval motif. Door lore hollow. So how do you see the coiled sword on that altar and miss the Lord Vessel? You know, just because I'm like also trying to like look at chat at the same time. So is this supposed to be the Lord Vessel? Maybe because like the Lord Vessel in like Dark Souls 1 was like bigger than the Hollow or the Chosen Undead. So yeah, it's definitely like the Lord Vessel-esque shape for sure. But yeah, I mean, if I miss something silly like that, please, guys, just point it out to me. I'm fine with making a goof of myself. So we get some bonfires. And so, I didn't really think anything of these guys like my first time playing through. I literally thought that like they were impaled on spikes or stakes. But when you do look at them closely, like, they're growing out of trees, or like, they are trees and they're hollow, and so that does raise some questions about like what's at the true nature of like hollows and men. And so we'll find like a lot more of this kind of a transformation ongoing as we play through. So I'm gonna go this way because I know there's like not too much significance. So this is a bit different, doing it without the HUD, so yeah. So lots of statues of people praying, at least I assume they're statues. No, I don't really have a good answer for like who goes out and lights all these damn candles. Oh, so this dude came up here, okay, that's interesting. I'll look at chat in a second. Ugh. That's weird. So yeah, because I'm relying on the shield more than I probably should. I probably should just be dodging. It's just so easy to rely on the shield, just because it blocks so well, and you pretty much get the guaranteed like counter style damage. Oh no, I forgot these dudes transformed. So as you see, like, using fire on them is really effective. And so that might tie into what's it called? Like all the tree type enemies that we've seen in this area. Probably gonna die. Oh, I did. Okay. Alright, let me try to catch back up. So, humans and pygmies are not the same. When they called it the father of the abyss as a primordial pygmy instead of primordial human, it gets, I mean, primordial in the sense like he could be the father of all of humanity. So if pygmies precede humans, you wouldn't necessarily have to go with it that way. Like it still makes sense. Oh, I forgot about the archer. I totally did. It didn't aggro me last time. That's why. It's weird. I thought I killed it. I'm trying to read chat. Fail. And this is likely to be one of the first humans born from pygmies. Oh, that's an interesting way to look at it. EB2 confirmed. Wyvern is the name usually used for these? Okay, okay. It's like the Black Knight in Dark Souls 1 strat right here. Circles. Strafing. The name Manus comes from Manu, the progenitor of humans in Hindu mythology. And yeah, there is a ton of cool, like, small lore details like that, just because we know that Miyazaki really likes etymology. Like this one? Maybe not. So yeah, you can kill the pus of men before they transform, and they're obviously like nowhere near strong, which is kind of interesting. So yeah, it totally wrecked me a minute ago. And like I was saying, it's super weak to fire, and there's probably a link to the fact that like these people transform into trees, and the progenitors or pus of men are super weak to fire. You get a longbow here. Not too worried about that. Tree people, lol. All becomes... oh shit. We have anatomical sized humans from the start of the Souls. It would be preposterous to argue that humans come from pygmies since they were found at the very start. I mean, it's kind of hard to say because, like, what really separates the gods from humans? Is it that they were also pygmies, or is it just because of the power of their Lord soul? It's one of those things that I wish we had a little bit better information about, like what really does separate like godkin from just humans and whatnot, or even giants for that matter. And there do seem to be some overlaps between humans and giants, but we'll probably leave that a bit more for later. So Father of the Abyss in Japanese is more like Master of the Abyss. Yes, it could also be like the host of the Abyss. It's kind of, yeah. I think Father does a good job for what they were trying to go with. I don't really have tons of like strong feelings about that. So this dude has a lantern, and he'll shriek to alert his friends to gank us. But yeah. So Wenders, nice to see you again as well. You also like Sophos' interpretation on hollows and the pus of man being weak to fire because of their association with trees. And yeah, going back to like the idea of like hollows and trees in general, like one of the thoughts that I have about it is in the Age of Ancients, like before the fire was a thing, you had the arc trees and dragons, and Miyazaki says like the dragons are made out of like minerals essentially. They're not really alive, which is interesting to consider. So if the natural state of the world is like, you know, the gray fog, arc trees and dragons, it could be that the world is trying to revert to its original state, which is why people are transforming into trees. But I'm not entirely sure how true that is. I think there's a good chance of that. More fire bombs, which I could use. I'll probably parry that maybe. And so this will be a little bit of a hint that this is not all that's to this area. Okay, dudes below. So it kind of looks like I'm cutting out a little bit. Let me double check. Shouldn't be too bad. So Isaac, thank you for that comment. It's very kind. I appreciate that. Ascension says his theory of the furtive pygmy. It's used to. Geez, let me actually read. His theory is the furtive pygmy used the Dark Soul to create humans. That's why the pygmy lords rule over the ringed city, and why humans were citizens in that city. Also, why humanity is linked to dark. That's an interesting thought. I don't really know how I feel about that myself. How do you think all of these dragons die could have some significance? I believe like some people have wondered if like they're a product of experiments, and so they might have been trying to make the pus of men into the wyverns so that way they could like ride them and maybe something along those lines, trying to like recreate like dragon knights. I don't fully remember. Let me get rid of this guy first. So this one's a shield guy, so I'm going to try to kick if I... Nope. That's what I do. Damn it. I'll just go for the backstab. Should probably heal, actually. That's dangerous up there. Okay. Okay, so that should be a bit easier for me to manage. I'm gonna kite these guys. Oh, I got lucky there. That was way too early. And then that kind of buffered roll. So that's what you use to break open those shields, and then leaves them vulnerable for that. So Echo Fiend says, you like to think of Darkness Humanity sprites as like this wet, cold substance just to contrast how hot fire is. You don't know how to describe how fire is supposed to feel. Yeah. I think there are like a couple items that really hint at that. Although it seems to have like a more of like a physical nature when you like look at like the dark magic that's used in Ulasil. That shadow just scared the crap out of me. And so this is a like patrolling knight. He can really screw up a lot of players. Okay, I thought I missed that backstab. We got a Lothric Knight Helm, which is pretty nice. I might not even like change my armor as the game goes, just have like the default appearance. And so, speaking of dragons, there is one. No, I'll probably show it off in a second. You heard Dragonite? So this jerk throws crap, if I remember right, or he just ganks us. One of the two. Oh, that was lucky. So I know there's another bonfire up here, so I'm not worried about that house right now. I suppose house is completely the wrong word, but y'all know what I mean. So, Lore Hunter is doing a live stream tonight too. Finally a good day in your shit life. Oh, sorry to hear that, but also glad. I don't know. I have mixed feelings. The Red says, you tend to assume that the pus of man are unwanted result of Osiris experimenting to create a dragon crossbreed heir. His garden has the highest number of the pus in that one place in the whole game. Yeah, and that's a definitely good take, I think. So yeah, it's really weird because there isn't like a whole lot of like the scholarly character trope beyond Osiris, and he's kind of already gone mad by the point we find him. So we can upgrade our weapon now, although I'm not like crazy about the axe. Which playthrough are you on? Oh, so this is the first Dark Souls lore through I've done. I've played the game a couple times. This is just like the original like new game cycle for a lore through, just because you can get all of the items fresh that way and everything. So welcome to the stream, person Tulum. So that actually advance us. Oh. I actually need to rest at the bonfire, don't I? What do I think of the Cathedral Knights stationed in Osiris's garden? I actually don't have much thoughts about those at all. Probably have to think about that more as we go. I know the Red Scholars probably got more concrete thoughts about that than I do. Like like I said, I've kind of like played through these games casually, so I don't really know like a lot of enemy placement or even like a lot of the significance of a lot of the enemies. So that'll be kind of something interesting, I think, for us to keep our eyes on as a community as we go through this. And so like if other people have more concrete thoughts about that or more knowledge to share as we go through, please do so. Alright, so that worked out pretty well. So, Red says, if you want to put your tinfoil hat on, the lack of a scholarly mentor character could tie into what the Locust Preacher says about the world beginning and ending without knowledge. That's a fair point. So Alex says, the presence of dragons on demon souls represents the king bring back demons with him, the start of the end. I wonder what the dragons represent here. Yeah, and so I think that does tie back into like the whole idea of the world is trying to go back into its natural state, and the more that like the fire prevents that from happening and prolongs things, like the more violent it becomes. And so presumably like the pus of men are like, you know, probably like one of the most violent representations of that. So I think that's an interesting context to think about because, you know, Gwyn should have killed all of the dragons or even like the chosen undead if you want to consider like Calamite with all of that. I thought there's a guy down here. That's a pretty good hit stun actually. Oh. Don't quote you on that, but apparently the Deep, the Abyss, and the Deep Sea's Altered Stream Dove seem to be a mistranslation of the same Japanese term concept. Yes and no. I mean, they're definitely connected, but they are referred to a bit differently. The term Abyss is kind of related to it, but I don't, without the text in front of me, I don't want to like say definitively what is what, but that was a goof on my part. For sure. I didn't remember that, like, the barrels exploded. Some throwing knives. Nail breaker, and so we don't have the key to free gray hat quite yet. Or gray rat. We can't even talk to him, so this is an NPC we can free later. So. I don't know why I came down here then. Probably just because that's what I always did. So I don't think we've got a good vantage point. Okay, kind of. So yeah, we can see some of the enemies that we'll encounter later out there. I really do like how much more verticality they incorporated into the games as they went. And they managed to make the world still feel like really interconnected, yet not somehow. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe, but I just really like the level design in their games overall. So, and why is the dragon basically guarding that place specifically? Yeah, that's a very good question. It could just be chilling. Like, I know if you shoot it enough times, it'll fly away, but they could have been people that have transformed either from like pus of men. But alright, I've got an idea. I'm gonna go ahead and go level up or use my souls. Then I'll go back and try to deal with the dragon area, although I'll probably die just because it's been a while and I don't exactly remember the meta for it. And then at least I could also read chat a little bit as we travel. So Bridge says, the abyss sounds like a bottomless sea, a bottomless curse accepting of all there is and can be. Yeah, and so I do think there are like a lot of parallels between the abyss and like the kind of cosmic ocean of the nightmares that are represented in Bloodborne. I think both are kind of related to a kind of afterlife, which can spawn like a lot of deformed evil things if like there's enough like negative energy or emotions in them. And so that's like a very Japanese thing where like this idea of curses and ghosts are related to like negative emotions. Oh shit, I totally didn't pay attention to where I was going, but that's okay. So yeah, with the abyss and like the whole idea of like humanity being nothing more than like desire or want, that really there's a lot of really cool stuff with like how they've set that up. And at times it is a little bit frustrating. Like you feel like you just need a little bit more to really like piece it all together and understand it. But just working with what we have, I do like a lot of the things that they've got going on.
Welcome home, Ashen One. Speak thine heart's desire. Very well. Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls.
So Echo says, how do you go about playing HUDless? I mean, poorly. You'll get better as you go. Like, obviously right now I'm leveling up my vitality just because, like, playing HUDless, you really do want that kind of extra wiggle room to screw up a bit more. And then you just kind of, if I take, like, 1 to 3 hits, depending on, like, what kind of hits they are, I might try to, like, heal up then, but, yeah.
Farewell, I may the flip.
I don't think there's anything in here that I wanted quite yet. Yeah, okay. Everything else we can pretty much get as we go along.
Ashen.
Don't need to upgrade yet. So does the dragon move places? Yes, he does, and I'll show that off in a moment. This is a good primer on the Civil War. What? on Demon Souls, it does, and the dragons try to stop the protagonist from reaching the Fake King. Oh, interesting. Tiny Boots, nice to see you again. It's been a while. Alex loves Bloodborne. I do too, obviously. So Alex, the Drakes are stuck in place in Dark Souls 3. I believe you can shoot the one that's on this like little rampart that'll like fly away. If you shoot it enough times. I know you can piss it off for that. And you're wondering if it's lazy design or with purpose. Dark Souls 3 level design reminds you of Demon Souls level design. It's somewhat open yet mostly linear. Oh yeah, I know that's also kind of like a pretty big criticism against like Dark Souls 3 compared to some of the others, that it is a bit more linear. I do understand that kind of sense of disappointment about that. Because like Dark Souls 2 is way more non-linear. Dark Souls 1, I used to think it wasn't quite so non-linear, but like on my recent one where I was just like kind of trying to sequence break a little bit more, it wasn't as what's the word? Quite as open as I thought. I mean, they do give you like a lot of options, but I feel like a lot of them are kind of shallow. Unfortunately, no rally to just get my health back off that, but I should be okay, especially after having just leveled a little bit. Oh yeah. Do you have a Discord server one can join? Yes. It should be linked in my description. If not, I think somebody will be able to provide that for you, but... Whew. Probably should have finessed this a bit more. This is probably going to be a mistake. No, okay, just YOLO it. Okay, that's perfect. So, yeah. YOLO swag, okay. So there's also a mimic in this area, so I'm just going to go ahead and open the door if I screw up. Maybe try to show off the dragon a little bit. Oh. Does it land? Is that what happened? Okay. It might have been in the sky and I just... Yeah. Skipped it. So yep, there's a wyvern, a dragon, a drake, whatever they're really supposed to be called, chilling on this roof here. If I remember correctly, this is a mimic, so be wary of trap, indeed. These things hit extremely hard. Oh, I thought I dodged that. Oh, well, it's still cool to get mimic footage. Probably won't be the last time. Oh no. Oh, what? Wow, okay. I feel like I cheated the game for once. Deep battle axe. Okay, that's kind of cool. So I might equip that. I don't know. Let's check it. Maybe not. Oh, well, it does dark damage. I'll just leave it for now, I suppose. Right, let's try to catch back up. So Alex says, can we talk about how after killing the blind dragon with the invisible baby, we travel back in time to go back by passing through the door? I don't really know if it's time travel as much as it is like kind of entering a different dimension, but we'll talk about that more later as well. Does anybody remember like the actual way to get this dude to go away, or do I just have to deal with this for now? Oh shit. Those hitboxes though. Right, so DS3 is linear as a whole, but each single layer has levels, shortcuts, and complexity. Yeah, I think they're definitely complex. It's just like a lot of people like to do the bosses in more different orders or have a bit more exploration. So hopefully Elden Ring will like scratch that itch. Although probably made a mistake of mentioning it just to get everybody's hopes up. So Ask Next, nice to see you. You said if they made Dark Souls 4 or anything similar, what would you want in it? That's a good question. I guess I'm a little bit simple to please. I don't really have like a lot of strong feelings. Maybe a bit more like complex weapon arts and things like that. Just a lot more like verticality. Maybe a bit more open world and non-linearness. And I would personally like to have like a bit more branching options as for like the main quest, but yeah. So you can tell which chests are mimics. The end of the chain on the left faces towards you if it's a mimic. You can also see them breathing if you angle the camera down. Yes, thank you. Dark damage doesn't scale either. It's not good. Yeah. Tendon Graves overall is hell to discuss because it just isn't really explained in any measure at all, and you have to infer everything about it. Yeah, that's something kind of left for maybe when we get closer to it, for sure. Alright, so shoot arrows at him from the door until, yeah. Okay, I do need the arrows. That's what I always did, but I just figured I was kind of cheesing things and not, you know, doing, like, maybe intended strat might not be the right word, but a better strat. Okay. Okay, so now we do get that better perspective of that dragon that's over there, or Drake. I'm sorry, forgive me if I keep mixing up my terms. It's probably going to keep happening. It's not that I don't care, it's just easy to slip into bad habits, I suppose. Drops Titanite scales too. I tend to like to farm this guy because I think you can get his shield, which is really good for this portion of the game. I might be misremembering. Oof. Oh, wrong one. The armor, definitely not bad. Yeah, so the shield and the weapon might be like the only thing that I really changed. I was trying to plunging attack, okay? I swear I was. Am I poisoned? No. So one of these dudes over here will transform into a puss of man on that roof over there. So one interesting thing is like these hollows seem to be praying towards this dragon or wyvern corpse. So I don't really know entirely what to make of that. Do they have faith in the dragons? Yeah. So Guitars Games, welcome in. You said, in your opinion, to save your sanity and trying to figure out how it works, Dark Souls isn't a world in the traditional sense, rather it is conceptual representative reality, an abstract of whatever actual reality is. I think that's a decent way to look at it for sure. Who is it that transforms? It's that one. I done goofed. Sweet Titanite Shard and an Ember, which is actually pretty cool for the lore, so let's go ahead and look at that. So, no unkindled can ever truly claim the embers that burn within a champion's bosom, which is precisely what makes their yearning for warmth so keen. Gain the strength of flame and increased max HP until death. With the strength of fire, the summoning signs of unkindled become visible, and seekers of embers can be summoned to join in cooperation, but beware, the embers may also attract invaders. Okay, so yeah, I do forget like a lot of the mechanics, so this ties into like the co-op stuff. And you automatically gain embering upon like killing a boss, which is a really cool mechanic. And try to remind myself to like look for people that want to get summoned for some lore footage. I know the binoculars are in this area. Does anybody know if I missed them already? Is that the only quick bar we get? Okay, interesting. Get the lizard. Oh yeah, I forgot. Most of the armor sets in the base are pretty balanced. Yep. For the dragons, they might have been born from the pus of man enemies. Yeah, I think that's a possibility. The Hollows praying might want to join them as true dragons, beings that stood toe-to-toe with the gods at the start of Dark Souls 1. Chesterness, nice to see you. I do recognize you from the comments on my videos. I'm glad you can join us as well. I hear it. I hear it. I thought I scared it. Sweet. A raw gem. It's okay. So, that's a patrolling winged knight. Which is kind of cool now that I think about it, that it's down here so far. That one doesn't jump around, though, so much, does it? I don't fully remember. But, I mean, this is Lothric. It really isn't too surprising, I suppose. More of a... whatever. So, yeah, that's pretty much that for now. We can go, like, get the broadsword pretty shortly here. Some sniper, and then some dudes are gonna spawn. Sweet. More fire bombs, which helps having just dealt with that pus of man. Oh, I'm pretty good on HP for now. Alright, so I missed the binoculars. Where are they? Just a bit past the binos. Are they over by where the dragon is? The first tower with the dead dragon? The first tower. Okay. What Lorethrough would be complete without some binoculars? Rochelle's better at running and reading chat. Okay. Left of the first bonfire, up behind where the Screeching Hollow was. Okay. I probably should have just warped there. Yeah, it's whatever. That's one way to get rid of the enemies. Not like this. Not like this. Hey, frames. I know this is not the way to go. I'm just curious. Oh no, it was the way to go. It's a damn lantern. Ladder. You swear your brain will never get those in the right place. You always think the binoculars in the bonfire tower and the gray rat key is under the pane. Is under the dragon. I remember to, you know, actually switch to Estus. That's what I remember. I remember the gray rat key is like further on. Oh, do I need to climb the dragon? I know you can, like, get up them and... Oh, I see the stairs. I was just being dumb. One of the things that I liked to do back when I was first playing was, like, jump on, like, the dragons, or the... Damn it, the wyverns and, what's the word? Like, leave notes on them. We're through that. Aha. No, it is kind of nice, like, having not played this game for such a long time, just because a lot of it is still kind of fresh. Like, I mean, I obviously remember, like, a lot of the more, like, jump scarier type parts, but... like, I didn't remember where that, firebomb thrower was, the binoculars, so... thank you, everybody, for pointing me in the right direction. I appreciate that. Oh, you have to stand still with these ones? Oh, that's disappointing. Oh, I like the monocular better. Wyvern. Yeah, I know. It's just, I don't know. One of those words you read more than actually hear, I suppose. Also probably having heard others mispronounce it or pronounce it, like, maybe in a different, like, accent. It's kind of weird how that works out sometimes. But thank you for correcting me, Echo Fiends. I really have no reason for doing this other than just, I don't know, the guilty pleasure of it. Oh, okay, I remember what that thing is. That's when you get, like, another Estus charge randomly. It wasn't me getting, like, poison from, like, being stabbed. So, I don't remember what causes that. I think it's, like, when somebody else near you, like, lights a bonfire? How do I pronounce Euros? Like that. I mean, I'm not so culturally unaware that I won't pronounce it like a gyro. So, yeah, wyvern, 2 legs, drakes, no wings. Drakes have no wings? Okay. I always thought drakes did have wings. That's interesting. So that was just me thinking about things poorly, I suppose. Like gyro. No, I mean, I love gyros. It's probably like one of my favorite Greek foods. Not that I've had like a lot of Greek food, but I mean, at least in my area, like there are like a lot of Greek restaurants, which... Oh yeah. Compared to like a lot of other places that I've been, like, they really missed out on a lot of good food from just like having a bunch of like small family-owned restaurants from like Greek people and getting some of that more authentic food. Oh. You don't think Miyazaki cares considering Hellkite Drake? Oh, that's an interesting point. Now I kind of want to look at like the Japanese name for it just to see if it was something... Actually, I don't even know how the Japanese distinguish between like Drake, Wyvern, and Dragon now that I think about it. The random Estus replenishes and happen because someone lit a bonfire near you. You don't know if it's the same in 3? Okay. Oh, I don't have hops. Drakes can have wings, but are usually not. Depends on the culture. Interesting. Okay, so the one that stands up is the one I need to get. Some cool stuff. Already got the little crystal lizard. I'll probably just kill the dude that's going to shoot things at me and then go back into this building. I don't know why, but I really like these knights that just kind of patrol the little hallways. I feel like that should have parried, whatever. Dark Souls 3, enemies just randomly drop Estus when killed occasionally. Oh shit, that didn't kill him. Okay, that did. Oh, another Ember and some more Titanite shards. Always nice this early in the game. Bruh. Okay, the sunlight was just hitting him a bit weird. Bonk. Frame rate really dropped there for a second. It was weird. I like that there's just like a random corpse chilling over here. In the urn, that is. This is deserter trousers and then some hunter charms. I thought there was something else over here, like a way to get to Grey Rat or like the key. Might be misremembering. Not that big a deal. Wow, that's a great time for you. Chill stream like this. How is parry difficulty compared to Bloodborne and Sekiro? Well, Sekiro, you just kind of like have to like brute force learn it, so that part becomes a bit second nature. Like it does take timing and like learning enemy patterns. So in some ways, Sekiro I think is easier. Bloodborne I think is easier just because you have the pistols. So it gives you, like you can do it from range, so there's less risk to parrying, and whereas like in Dark Souls 3, it's a lot more close combat. Oh, that was rude and weird. And so this is the weapon that I normally used, the broadsword. We'll just go ahead and equip that for now, maybe. Where is it? I can't? What do I need? More dex. Just 1 point. Okay. So Mensch asks, random question, do you enjoy games for their lore, or do I like Shadow of the Colossus, for instance? I actually have not played Shadow of the Colossus. That was always one on like my back burner, but I just never really got around to, even like when it got remade. For the FromSoft games, I do like the action components of them to a degree, but I like them a lot for the lore. Like Dark Souls to me is more of like an arcade game, whereas like Bloodborne I like more for like the aesthetics that go along with it. So yeah, I know I like that they can work for me on multiple levels, I suppose. So a silver eagle kite shield. Actually, let's read that one since it was in a chest. It's got a little bit of a better defenses as well. Orthodox metal shield engraved with a crest depicting a silver eagle. Medium shields are the most average of shields, providing a practical balance of damage absorption, stability, and weight. Weapon skill. Okay, interesting. Oh, I forgot. So this one doesn't allow the parries. What is my right-hand weapon skill? Okay, just an attack buff. The Cosmic Horror of Bloodborne will always make it one of your favorite games of all time. All Hollows and Lothric wall level will have a tiny chance to drop the Raw Gem and a Night Shard. Okay. And if Augur of Abritus seems to increase that parry window. I need to play Shadow of the Colossus. Yeah, I definitely should. Also, I should play better. I'm gonna be doing stupid shit like that. Not the dog. Okay, the dog's stuck. The dogs in this game are scary. They're so fast. And like, at least in Bloodborne you can just shoot them to stun them. So, okay, that should be the worst of that, I think. For now. I'll deal with those guys in a second. Yeah, the aesthetics of Bloodborne are definitely my favorite. I really like that kind of Victorian Gothic-esque thing that they've got going on for some reason. I know I can make that jump. I just need to get higher? Oh, yeah, probably. Dark Souls is easier because of the weapon buffs and you don't need gems. As far as like parrying goes, I don't know, it's kind of different. Like, you kind of have to relearn to play each game a different way. Like Sekiro is kind of like a rhythm game, I hear it often compared to just, oh shit. And that's kind of true. Like, once you figure out how to do it, of course, like, dealing with multiple enemies is always a problem. But, Bloodborne, you have to be, like, you have to have controlled aggression and you have to stay aggressive, which is completely different from, like, how the Dark Souls worked to begin with. So, Dark Souls is more of, like, a kind of like a chess game, maybe, in that, like, you make a move, your opponent makes a move, you kind of react to that, whereas, like, I don't know. I mean, obviously, like, I'm not playing super fantastic right now, but like, I could be playing better to kind of probably be aggressive and take care of these guys a bit more easily with, like, parrying and all that, but they really told me nothing personnel, kid. The scariest part of Dark Souls 3 dogs is the fact that they teleport where you are when you're not looking. Yeah. Also, their faces are just, like, really creepy. I like the design. They, like, made a pretty good, like, transition from, like, the... It's weird. I'll blame the camera for that one. Like, that transition from, like, the kind of, like, demon-esque looking dogs in the Chalice dungeons in Bloodborne. And, like, the normal rabid ones. So, like, the fact that, like, they kind of, like, don't have eyes exactly. I don't know, they just have a certain, like, skeletal look to them that's a bit off-putting, I think. Add to that, like, the natural tension that you get from their really quick movement, and they kind of work really well for an enemy. So, it's easy to love to hate them, I suppose, is a good way to phrase it. So, Remus Aldana, welcome. You said, almost done getting all the trophies in Bloodborne. You got all the trophies in all the Souls games, and Bloodborne is harder than the other Souls for you, for sure. I think just like Bloodborne plays differently. So, it's a bit harder to transition from Dark Souls to Bloodborne than vice versa. Although, like, to be fair, like, Bloodborne only becomes easier, like, once you understand it. So, like, if you don't know how to use the rally mechanic and use that to augment your healing, it definitely becomes a much more difficult game. Like, a lot of people, when they face the Moon Presence, they crash on her because when she uses her drain to 1 HP attack, like, their natural instinct is to back off and heal, whereas, like, she gives you, like, a 3 or 4 second window to just continue to rally your health back against her, and so she can be either, like, trivial or extremely difficult depending on your playstyle. But yeah. Okay. Last pros, no Death Run Ruined. Oh, is that really? No, I totally died to what's it called? The Pus of Men a couple times, and like Gundyr just for the footage. Oh, I have a bit more health than I thought. Redo for the Shard. Definitely. Dark Souls was more of a strategy game with a wider array of weapons where you have to calculate more. Bloodborne is more about being in the moment with the rally mechanic. Yeah. And quick steps. So do I just need to like equip different gear and not be so damn heavy when I do this jump? That might be it. I could be completely wrong and just look like an idiot, but YOLO. I done goofed. I done diddly goofed. Thanks. Okay, well, I got the souls back. So definitely Dark Souls is more... Okay, I read that one. Redo for the Shard. Miyazaki must have been traumatized by dogs in real life. They don't teleport. Look it up. What is my favorite boss fight of all times in the Souls games, including Bloodborne? That's a good question. I really like the Ludwig fight, if for no other reason than like how well they designed him to punish like the panic rolling in the second phase. Not to say that like Orphan was bad, but I don't know. I just think like as far as the choreography of that fight, it feels really good when it goes well. Same with like a lot of the hunter fights. If you're just talking about like mechanically, lore, I'd probably have to think about that a bit more. I do like the Abyss Watchers fight. That's really cool. Maybe not so much for the lore, but it's just a really good fight for this game. Deserter trousers. Midir, I feel like Midir is more of a camera fight than a boss fight. Oh, I jumped down too far. Oh, shit. Like, the Midir fight is cool, it just annoyed me how... Like, you might want to lock onto him for, like, a little bit, but sometimes that can still screw you up just to, like, reorient yourself. If you could just, like, zoom out the camera ever so slightly for that fight, it would be so good. But, also, Sister Frida in this game is also an amazing fight, obviously. Like, it always feels like the DLC fights, they really just kind of, like, break out into their niche for each respective games, it seems. Like, Dark Souls 1 has, what's this? Artorias. Dark Souls 2's DLC I heard is really good. I can't really speak to that. And then Dark Souls 3 obviously has Sister Frida, Slave Knight Gale. What do I think? Which boss is the least fair? That's an interesting question. The one that kills me last. Maybe like Lawrence can be pretty cheap at times. I don't know. Like some of the hitboxes, although his boss fight's fair, it's just I don't know. It feels like you should be able to punish him from positions that don't actually work, I guess. You never felt cheated when you died? Oh shit. Yeah, for the most part, I can pretty much say, like, if I die, it's pretty much my fault. So that's kind of like one of the nicer things about these games. I mean, obviously, like, some people, like, rage at them, but very, very rarely do I think it's like, oh, there's, like, a broken mechanic. Oh, okay, so it honestly felt like Genichiro was, like, one of the most unfair fights when I was first going through, like, Sekiro. Like, he just stomped the ever-living crap out of me my first playthrough of Sekiro. It felt like his arrows or whatever it was just like, that was the only like really cheap move that I felt that he had. But other than like that one attack, he felt fair. It was just that one thing that like put him over the edge, made me a little bit salty. But I mean, I've gotten over it a bit now. I should have paired that. Oh, that's not good. I thought he was going to catch me with the range. Come on. That works, I suppose. Okay. Are we doing DLC 2? Yes, that's the plan. Genichiro made you cry. So we got another Estus shard, which is phenomenal. And okay, so this is the Selkie. I knew it was in this area. I just thought there was something other, or something else over by where that one area was. I think that just like maybe Grey Rat Cell goes right next to it, which is why I think that. Okay. Sweet. Yeah, so we'll go see Grey Rat, maybe level up just to get that extra point of dex. And then we'll go proceed through this area. So there has to be another way. I just forget. There's like a ladder or something. Oh yeah, I remember now. It's literally... This makes me feel silly. Some green blossoms. I love those things. Okay, okay, and then that was the easy way to deal with this area. Okay. Well, now I know. Bloody Crow is the actual toughest boss in Bloodborne. Until you, like, break his AI and, like, getting him stuck behind the door or whatever it is. But yeah, trying to fight a lot of, like, the hunters like that head-on is pretty frustrating. So Alex wanted to fight another hunter, not just an AI Bloody Crow. That's fair. That's actually one of the things I did like about what's the name of the boss in the DLC in this one, where you can summon an invader. Although I felt it did feel cheap for me because the person that did summon into my fight just let me kill them automatically. And I was like, what the hell is going on? I had no idea about like the mechanics of it, and was so confused. But I think that was just a really cool idea that at least they tried to implement in one of their games, where you could just kind of control a boss, I suppose. Bloody Crow just used the poison throwing knives and beta strict weapon. Yeah. He has 50 strength for no reason.
Welcome home, speak. Very well. Then take no.
I'm loving my endurance just a little bit now. Like, those are going to be like the dump stats. Might as well just get them out of the way so that way when I do level up later on, it'll continue to feel impactful.
Well met. 'Tis good to see ye in good health. What needs smithing this day? There are two ways to smith weapons. Simple reinforcement is one, and infusion the other. Reinforcement is straightforward. It strengthens a weapon without altering its property. Infusion is a more advanced form of smithing that infuses an element. Reinforcement requires titanite, and infusion requires gems. Bring the stones, and I'll do the smithing. It's my purpose, after all. In battle, your weapons are your only friends. Forge them well, and they won't let you down.
We get another hurrah gesture. Sweet.
Another matter. Infusing weapons with gems requires a special kind of coal. My humble coals won't be any use infusing more unusual gems. I know, it's an awful shame, but it's all I have. Oh, please don't give me that look. Believe it or not, I'm quite thin-skinned. Oh, by the by, if you find any Estus shards, bring them here. They can be used to reinforce either of your Estus flasks. Without those flasks, you'd want for life or focus. And they'll always stay with you. Why not treat them well? Huh? Be careful.
That's pretty much that. Brisson? I don't really know which way to pronounce that. My favorite weapon for Bloodborne, at least like playing wise, is the threaded cane. It's just really versatile. I like how quick it is, how much range and crowd control it offers. From a lore perspective, I think the Burial Blade is really cool.
Well,
I don't think there's anything I want. Maybe I should buy the arrows to just deal with the dragon? I don't know. My first time I played through Dark Souls 1, I just used the halberd and a bunch of shields and poked everything to death from a range. So I honestly was not very good after having beaten that game. I only learned to parry because of the Gwyn fight. Oh. So speaking of hunters, we may as well go ahead and kill the weeb outside. The little dude with the katana. Take a minute to load. Spin to win axe, yeah. Pretty much every weapon in Bloodborne is viable, which is super cool. So, pizza cutter for life. My only real complaint about like the Bloodborne weapons is just it's so unfortunate that you can't like start off a new playthrough with any of them, or have anybody like even able to drop them in for you. So, started Kane Liker, Kane Gang, Kane Gang. Sounds like a typical first Dark Souls experience. Yeah, pretty much. I mean, I totally had like the first Dark Souls build going on too. Ugh, I wish I could walk with this. It'd be so much nicer. It takes so long to use it too. Oh yeah, I forgot I'm using the broadsword now. Oh no 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 no! Tried to heal. That's a big old oof. You still need to try everything Ludwig's basic bitch typical choice, you know. Like a lot of the weapons of Bloodborne are just really good. Ludwig's Holy Blade is kind of like everyone's bread and butter for a good reason. It's really strong. You remember thinking your friend was crazy for playing Dark Souls for the first time without using a shield? Now you only ever use them to parry. Washing pole time? Yeah. You usually like to roleplay in Souls games, and yeah, not having early access to some weapons in Bloodborne sucks for that. Yeah. Bloodborne's a great game. There are a few things that if I had the choice to like streamline it, I would. I think for like as few flaws as it has, I don't think it's like a 10 out of a 10 game, to be quite honest, even though it is definitely my favorite. But if they just ever did go back and like make it a little bit like user friendly for that, I think it could rise to that level. But then again, I think like no matter what they did, what's oh yeah, I still have the binocular on. I'm not gonna try to knock him off the edge. I probably should, but wow. Usually like to roleplay. Okay. You can go through the false steps chalices to unlock the chalice glyphs that drop uncanny lost weapon variants, but it'll take a bit of time, and some of the bosses might be at a hard low level. Yeah, I suppose with the, you know, special chalice to get tons of echoes really quickly, it'd probably be easier if there was like a boss, or not a boss, but a messenger bath that sold all the weapons. I guess you have to unlock them before those baths sell them. So yeah, you'd probably just need to like get a custom glyph and just like run into a side room for a specific weapon. That'd probably be the easiest way to do it, but definitely unorthodox and not very well supported. Even so, you still have to go through the blood-starved beast, which is a small way into the game, but not negligible. Alright, so how did that not parry him? Finally. He wins that trade. Okay, so I might just knock him off now that we've done goofed around a little bit too much. Echo says, you like the Threaded Cane lore, you also roleplay build your character, so you basically made a church hunter based on the weapon lore. Where's the top hat too? Yeah, that's one of the nicer things about the cane. Just being able to roleplay with the top hat, I suppose. Really ties the hunter together. If I don't kill him, I'll just go ahead and go back to Lothric. Mostly just trying to catch up on the chat right now. And then maybe deal with the Vordt, and then we'll see. That's weird. It's like I'm out of stamina. Alright. Yeah, I won't deal with him for now. I normally would if I was just like playing this off stream, but don't want to be too selfish and take up too much time on something pretty negligible that can be overpowered later. Last pro got killed by a weeb. This is so sad. I guess he's the true weeb master. Ebrietus, play false god him. It's all good. He's literally your Discord PFP. Best Bloodborne fashion is the Woman Knight set or the Bone Ash set. Yeah, I like the Knight set a lot, even for the males. Putting that with the Crown of Illusions is kind of nice. My shield isn't very good either. I mean, like some of the, I mean, I'm not trying to make excuses, but it seemed like I was trying to attack it sometimes and I just like wasn't. It was kind of weird. Also, my Dark Souls play sense isn't quite what it used to be, but that's okay. I don't think I'm doing too bad for not having played for a few years. It's kind of like riding a bike. It will be a little bit shaky at first, but you don't really forget too much. That was weird. Did I kick? Maybe that's what it was? I may as well. So I do like how these dudes are kind of all riddled with weapons. I don't really know the story behind why. There does seem to be like an interfactional conflict, maybe? Batty head, by the way, good luck. So... You know the Pusser Man reminds you of Ouroboros from Resident Evil 5? I haven't actually stopped killing him before he transforms. Oh, okay, so is that what gets the shard? Yeah, I'm not too worried about it. I didn't level this up when I went to Andre. I didn't even realize this thing had spells. Winged Knight Halberd and a Titanite Shard. I think it's because Prince Lothric turned against his responsibility to kindle the flame and those Blue Angel Knights are on his side. It's a war, bro. Hence why at the top of the castle those knights are fighting the soldiers. They should know that. I mean, I should. You're probably right. But I mean, I'm also playing this Lorethrough to learn a bit more as I go along. Like, the videos that I want to make that are more tied to Bloodborne are more about, like, the larger themes of the games in general. So I am not quite as familiar with the specifics, which is fine. So, I did try to be a bit clearer, like, when I started the stream that, I'm not a Dark Souls expert. So, this is kind of more like me getting footage for when I do make those Bloodborne-related videos. But as I do like delve into this a bit more, I will make some more content related to Dark Souls 3 and the translations of certain things. So it's part of the Lothric Civil War between the Blue and Red Knights. Obviously only once. I missed the lizard there too. I'm gonna come back for a few things. Just trying to unlock the shortcut. Forgot about the smaller guy. Okay. Hey man, just joined the stream. I'm doing well, Hydra. Nice to see you. Welcome for joining in. Ooh. I wasn't even trying for either of those backstabs, to be honest. So yeah, the camera seems to like snap behind the enemies a little bit faster than I'm used to. Thought there was an item over in this balcony too. Okay, yeah. More green blossoms. I'd done goofed. Thank you, Chris. Is it this way I gotta do it? No, I do need to be at the top. And you said you can never get into Dark Souls 3. You always had a habit of treating it like Bloodborne. Yeah, I could see how that could definitely screw some people up. There we go. Being a sacrifice. Yeah, I'm more used to like the jumping in Dark Souls, or sorry, in Bloodborne, but it's objectively easier in Dark Souls 3. I'm just goofing at it. So let's check that ring. So lose nothing on death, but it breaks. This mystical ring was created in a sacrificial rite of Velka, the goddess of sin. Its wearer will lose nothing upon death, but the ring itself breaks. A sacrifice is only worth as much as the life it spares. So, it's probably a mistake to bring up Velka. That'll bring out the crazies, I know. But, yeah. The HUDless run strikes again. I thought about healing beforehand, but I was going to do it after I landed. Oh well. At least I get everything back. So, Gabriel says Dark Souls 3 is much faster than the previous Soul games. Dex builds are much more viable. Yeah, for sure. You jump down from the first ladder after the lizard. The jump in Dark Souls 2 is actually phenomenal. Like you go so far compared to this one. Comrade says, you wish you could stay home and play games instead you have to work. Yeah, that's the grind. Oh yeah, gotta kill the little archer. Come on. What class am I using? I think this one was the warrior. I didn't really put too much thought into any of it before I started. Nito Burrito, nice to see you. Thank you for dropping in. Okay, and I can use that platform to just kind of speed through. Alright. Oof. I almost screwed up right there. Any reason why all those hollows don't attack? Well, presumably they're hollowed to the point where they've kind of lost the will to live and to move. So that just kind of shows where they are in terms of their mental state. And so the guys that are patrolling around still have enough sapience to continue their duties to a certain degree. But the ones just kind of vibing are just kind of crestfallen to the point where they're useless. And so all these guys are presumably just hungry for souls, and in some ways souls are kind of the equivalent of the brains in a zombie movie, where they're just something that makes zombies feel more alive again and not in a bunch of pain, I guess. I'm not entirely sure how that works. I'm not trying to deal with him again. I could, but it's whatever. Just looking at these statues here, it's interesting. Should probably look at the environments maybe a little bit more as I go through here. Although that could be something that'll be easily done like towards the end of a stream, or maybe even off stream. Because they really do put a ton of thought into stuff like that. In case like anybody's seen my video about like the art used in Bloodborne. I should have just parried that. Dude is kicking my ass. I tried to kick. No. Now I'm playing 2 passively because I'm worried about 2 at once. That's what I get. Nice, they're vapors. All they're missing is the vapes. You didn't know that's what souls represented? Yeah, like souls are like pretty much the essence of life in these games. So Northern Burger says that's a lot of interesting architecture in Dark Souls 3. They hit hard for, yeah, especially for like this early in the game. Although I just need to play better. let's be real here. Ugh. Come on. Thoughts on Kingdom Hearts? I've gotten them. I just never went through them. Like I got the PlayStation bundle. My thoughts about Kingdom Hearts are pretty much like the Donkey video about the lore of Kingdom Hearts, I suppose. Seems a little bit convoluted, just like time in Dark Souls. Where is my guy? So this time let's kite him away from his friend. As I just stand exactly to where his friend is. Ew, my timing is just awful. Yeah, like, if that was Bloodborne, I would have gotten the parry off. It's just... you really have to go for that whole like risk versus reward ratio in this one. So it's partially why I tend to rely on, probably over rely on the shields, just because they're easier to deal with. Just strafe like these humanoid enemies and go for the backstab rather than having to parry. It's a lot easier, of course, like when you don't take chip damage as well. Let's talk to this lady first. I don't intend... whatever. So that's pretty much like if I intend to do a scene transition at any point.
Ah, the wait has been long, unkindled one. I am Emma, High Priestess of Lothric Castle. Allow me to speak frankly. You will not find the Lords of Cinder here. They have left, gone, to their churning homes, converging at the base of this castle. Head to the bottom of the high wall. Forge on through the great gate and raise this banner to proceed. This farewell gift is for you. It is the insignia of an old covenant. If you fear trespassers, dark spirits drawn by the embers, then etch this upon your heart, and the old Concord will beckon noble blue sentinels to hunt these foul spirits. Unkindled one, head to the high wall's base. Go through the great gate and raise this banner to proceed. But beware, the dog keeps a close eye on things. The vile watchdog of the Boreal Valley. Unkindled one, go by the...
So that's pretty much the exposition that we need to continue on with like the main quest line, and this is obviously Emma, and trying to catch up with the chat real quick. Gabriel asked if I've seen Hawkshaw's videos of the Dark Souls lore, like the timeline. They're pretty good. I think I've probably seen a couple of videos of his. It's been a really long time since I've looked at Dark Souls lore videos. At this point, I almost wonder if it's probably for the better that I don't look at other people's stuff right now, just like now that I've become like a content creator. I don't want to necessarily like inadvertently steal from other people's ideas, because it's really easy to get influenced about that kind of thing, even if you don't mean to. So one thing that I wonder about like this night with him like slitting his own throat open, it could just represent like the kind of sacrifice that the knights have to make for their journey. So this could be like representative of like the kind of burden of linking the flame, although somebody might know a bit better about that than I do. I don't know why these ones are decapitated. Kind of interesting to think about. And so like the dog of the Boreal Valley, she's obviously referring to Vordt, although we haven't seen him on this playthrough quite yet. Bloodless challenge run. Parrying spears is such a pain. My princess is in another castle. Herm the Derm, welcome to the stream. It's nice to see you. Oh yeah. Time to get rocked by a red-eyed enemy. So these guys are always interesting to me, just because the red eyes are something that appears in a lot of their games, and there's really not a whole lot of reason how or why they're like that. But generally, from what we can kind of figure out from like all of the games mishmashed and put together, is like having red eyes shows that they're filled with like a lot of strong emotions, and because of those strong emotions, they've become strengthened themselves. So whether that's like desire or something else, I don't entirely know. Just try to get a little bit too close. Spooky. That design of the Headless Knight is based on a real-life specific saint? Saint Denis of Paris. Okay, let me write that down, actually, just so I don't forget. Thank you for that, Dornish. Miyazaki is a fan of the Red Eye meme. That and all the foot lore. You mustn't forget. So this dude is actually a lot... damn it. He's a lot stronger than the other knights. He'll buff his weapon, and I'll mess up that parry. And so like his one swing was enough to kind of break my guard. Oh no, 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 no. What the hell am I doing? Oh, I'm out of Estus, that's what it is. tried to parry. Okay. Brisson asked, do I want people to refrain from talking about their lore interpretations on my stream? No, by all means, go ahead. Even if this was like Bloodborne, I'd still welcome that. I think it's healthy to have a discussion, even if not everybody agrees. Like, that's perfectly fine. I think there's more value to be gained, just like comparing and contrasting other people's opinions. So I do appreciate you asking, for sure. But yeah, like I said, to begin with, I'm not super familiar with like all of the details about like the Dark Souls lore. So if people are wanting to contribute to that, I'm perfectly happy with that. But yeah, thanks for asking. I don't know why am I doing this. I don't need to do this. Just habit. Alright, so Kerm says, I know you're playing Dark Souls 3, but I love your Bloodborne lore. Keep up the good work. Thank you. Any relation to the name St. Denis in Red Dead Redemption 2? Maybe. Big oof right there. But Alex says, have we thought that the Red Knights have higher thoughts? What I mean is that it seems he's guarding someone and thinking compared to the other knights without the Redites. You know, I haven't really thought about it from that perspective. Like, if he is musing on that, like, little corpse that was over there, that might contribute to his feelings and why he has red eyes. I don't know if necessarily, like, having red eyes would be a sign of, like, higher thought. It seems more like it'd be the opposite, the way that it's presented in a lot of these games. But, yeah, for sure, that's a cool thought, Alex. Yeah, and he's not mindlessly patrolling. I'll just deal with the one over here and then get the items. Lucerne. I should probably look at some more of these items, to be honest. No, I agreed both. Whatever. So bad at parrying. Or healing, apparently. Okay. So it looks like we've got some pilgrims all the way over here, which is kind of interesting. Considering, like, we see most of them on the high wall and it's broken. So if you manage to get to this area... So Xanthus King Jeremiah, I recognize that name. So you recognize that FromSoft places immeasurable detail in their world to tell the story, but you doubt every single aspect of the game is there to contribute to the story, like with all media. And let me run a little bit more. And so you think the red eyes are just a game mechanic with no lore? I do think there's a slight amount of lore to it. I don't necessarily like think every placement of the red eyes enemy has lore specifically, but I mean, part of the thing about like looking into this kind of thing is if there's something, people are going to try to explain it just for, I don't know, the sake of their own sanity and trying to like piece everything together. But yeah, there are a lot of times where I wonder if like if we're looking into things a bit too deeply and when we should call a cigar. But I think the stairs are screwing up the backstab. So red-eyed hunters in Bloodborne are the same, and in Sekiro they also have the red-eyed dudes. Yeah, so Sekiro is like what expands on it maybe the most clearly, which isn't to mean that it's very clear at all. Ooh, the range. Alright. I don't want to deal with the red-eyed guy right now. So we're going to go deal with Vordt. So yeah, we got some of these pilgrims. So I don't have super concrete thoughts about them. I think somebody was thinking like the shells on their backs could be similar to one of the purifying stones, I think it is. I don't remember off the top of my head. We'll talk about those a bit more later, and I'll probably like look into it myself. So this is Vordt of the Boreal Valley. It seems like he comes out of like a dark portal almost, which is kind of interesting. I don't remember if he has any like cool grab attacks. He might. I know he phases. He does like cold damage, frostbite. Oh no. So Alex says, yeah, he's not a generic enemy with pimped out eyes. They want us to see the red eyes, I think, because that's the first place our eyes go to. And a lot of people saying that's a good point. That's a pretty cool death. Okay. Next time I'll phase him and then try to fish to see if he has a grab attack. You cannot pet the dog in Dark Souls 3. So what the hell is that thing? So Vordt of the Boreal Valley was apparently experimented upon by Pontiff Sullivan. Same thing with like the dancer. And so part of me is wondering now if like the coldness, damn it, the coldness that's associated with him is associated with like the dark or humanity. That's going to be something I'm going to try to be a bit more cognizant of in this playthrough. Just like connecting like the dark to the cold or something else. Or maybe it's more even just like related to the souls and crystal magic. Hard to say. Bonked. So yeah, apparently like Vordt at one point was like human, obviously, like he's still got like the fingers and stuff, but he's called like a dog. It might be related to like the experiments to create, what are they called? Like the kind of like berserk looking dogs the Sullivan makes. That's with the like the Aldrich Covenant. So yeah, Sully's been experimenting on people and like getting rid of people that I guess might influence his power. Like the dancer might have been related to somebody. I don't remember off the top of my head, so I apologize for that. This is another big booty boss where you just kind of want to stay on him, get behind his booty, smack him. Roll in as opposed to out. So this is him phasing, if I remember correctly, and so he gets more like frigid style attacks. He's faster. That's cool. Yeah, so that was actually a really cool death. I'm pretty happy with that one. So let me try to catch up. Vordt was once human too, but beasted out eventually. The Cape of the Night could be a sign of higher rank. That's true. Religious figures are always doing experiments in Miyazaki games. It's a pretty iconic in like a lot of Japanese games in general. There's a lot of mistrust placed on religion in Japan for various reasons, but like you'll see it in games like Final Fantasy Tactics, a lot of the Final Fantasy games, to be honest, but definitely true for like Dark Souls as well, and Bloodborne for sure. You'd like to see my boss tier list? I don't really think I have one. RIP. But then again, you don't think... Or, let me reread that, actually. Oh, wall. Double wall. Triple wall. Right, so... Then again, you believe Pontiff Sullivan did have, like, Cult of Fire and Cult of Frost, considering how he came from the painting. Yeah, and that's one of the interesting things, too. Like, how much, of the frost is associated with the painting. But if like the painting is made of blood, it shows that it's more connected to humanity to begin with. The ironic thing is like finding Vordt easier than like the red-eyed knight. Watch me die unintentionally this time, just for having said that. Is there a connection between the dancer and Ciaran? I don't know. I wouldn't think so, just because it'd be so far apart, but I don't really know for sure. It wouldn't let me roll. That's what I get. Called him out and he got me. So, Vordt chose the path of frost. Well, path. Path of frost. Well, the dancer chose the path of fire. Just your thoughts. Is there... Okay, I saw that. Well, back in Dark Souls 1, Priscilla and the painting's affinity with ice definitely goes along with her being the antithesis to all life. Yeah, so with Priscilla, she's also like a part dragon, so... I wonder if that might tie into it as well. And so presumably her being the antithesis to all life comes from her being a half-breed. You wonder why giants being oppressed is always a theme in the Soulsborne games. Not to make this too heavy, but it could be a comment on Japan's xenophobia. I'd have to think about that one maybe a little bit more deeply. Early dancer when? I don't know. How is it that you initiate the dancer fight early? Is it just that you hit Emma? Then I might do it after Vordt on the next stream, just for the hell of it. The streamer's curse is real. Probably should use those green blossoms, because it feels like I have no stamina versus him. Alright, so that's Vordt, and then... he didn't give us anything, did he? I kind of looked away. Just the Ember restored, I think. No, he should give us a soul. Soul of Boreal Valley Vordt. Soul of Vordt of the Boreal Valley, one of the twisted souls steeped in strength. Used to acquire many souls or transpose to extract its true strength. Vordt served as an outrider knight, never far from the fleeting dancer. So yeah, that does show that Vordt is close to the dancer. You don't know if Priscilla has an affinity for ice. After all, she was trapped in the painting because of other life-taking abilities. Like, would she have developed Life Hunt Scythe if she wasn't trapped in the painting? I'm not sure. Never played Dark Souls 3. Is it good? Yes, it is good. Mechanically, definitely better than 1 and 2. Although 1 has a certain charm that's kind of hard to replicate. What do I want to do? Actually, let's go level up first. And then I'll attack Emma for the hell of it. She doesn't really have too much else going on, I don't think. I don't think I need too much more footage from her. But I can talk to her first. Okay. Vordt and the dancer were lovers. I don't remember if she has any dialogue. Oh, this is bad.
Welcome home, Ashen One. Speak thine heart's desire. Ashen One, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls. Sovereignless souls will become thy strength. I will show thee how. Ashen One, bring me souls plucked from their vessels. Ashen One, to be unkindled is to be a vessel for souls.
Can't skip this. Oh, it's because I was in the binoculars. So yes, Mohammed, I am streaming from the PlayStation 4 for now. Ugh, gotta get close. I'm used to the Bloodborne mechanics. Okay.
Ah, well met, Ashen One. How may I be of service? Knowest thou of that soppy gossip? That cordial intrusion layeth the path to embers? And so thou art in need of a soapstone, Ashen One. Then thy pockets will overflow with souls to trade to me. Ashen One, if my wares are not to thy satisfaction, bring me umbral ash. With ash, I'll fashion new wares. Is it not our sorry fate to sup on death? Knowest thou that, and then,
Not sure if I want to buy anything else.
Ashen One.
Oh yeah, and so now that I'm embered, you can actually see that like there are embers coming off of the Ashen One's body. That's kind of a cool detail for this one.
Welcome home.
Actually,
Farewell.
So bad.
Welcome home, Ashen One.
Ugh. Did I get too far away?
Welcome home, Ashen One. Speak thine heart's desire. Very well. Then touch the darkness within me. Take nourishment from these sovereignless souls. Let these souls withdrawn from their vessels, manifestations of disquieting, elucidated by fire, burrow deep within me.
Alright, so that should be good for now with my endurance, maybe? I don't really remember how it scales in Dark Souls 3.
What a sick joke. Asking us to seek the Lords of Cinder and return them to their moulding thrones. We're talking true legends, those who would link the fire. We're not fit to lick their boots.
Yeah, so Akira wants to know which game he should start with. He's already done Bloodborne. I would say 3 is the easier transitioning point, although 1 is slower, it's just a different vibe. But 3 is the closest to Bloodborne if that's the one that you started with. Otherwise, I would say like start with Dark Souls 1, just because it's kind of like probably like one of the easier introductory points. Maybe not easy is the right word, but you guys might know what I mean. Okay. I'm gonna talk to Andre again with some binoculars. Oh, I forgot to get Grey Rat.
Well met. 'Tis good to see ye in good health. What needs smithing this day?
Holy shit, I had no idea how freaking goofy this guy looked.
Weapons and protection are sturdy enough by and large, but when overused, they'll eventually break. When their durability is low, repair becomes a necessity. Use a powder, or simply rest at a bonfire. But should chance impel them break, bring them me. I'll hammer them back into shape. They take no pleasure in breaking, I assure ye. So handle them with care, if you would. There are 2 ways to smith weapons. Simple reinforcement is one, and infusion the other. Reinforcement is straightforward. It strengthens a weapon without altering its property. Infusion is a more advanced form of smithing that infuses an element. Reinforcement requires titanite, and infusion requires gems. Bring the stones, and I'll do the smithing. It's my purpose, after all. In battle, your weapons are your only friends. Forge them well, and they won't let you down.
Turns out I never even really thought about it, but I guess their lips actually move in this game, which is kind of different. They don't in the others, so... Huh. Interesting. So, yeah.
Prithee, be careful. I don't want to see my work squandered.
Should probably reinforce a weapon. Actually, we're at almost 3.5 hours now. I'm going to go talk to Emma and probably finish it there. I would continue, honestly, but with my current hard drive setup, I'll actually need to stop recording and send this footage to a different, like, external hard drive, just because I don't have the space, unfortunately. So, let's go back to Vordt of the Boreal Valley, talk to Emma, and then maybe go to the High Wall, or whatever it's called. Guys are fighting about Salt and Sanctuary and Hollow Knight. Oh, I'd expect them to be animated in the remake, Pete Coyle. Also, nice to see you. Welcome in. Blasphemous is the poop. It's very hard in comparison to 1. It doesn't hold your hand. It does force you to learn the hard way, but you got used to it and you love it now. No, I'm pretty sure none of the characters are really animated up until like Dark Souls 3, unless you like count cutscenes. Although I don't really think there's like a whole lot of dialogue in those games. Okay. Be the Wanderer, hello. He said, hey my guy. Oh, can't read. He said, hey my guy, hey peeps, hope you're doing well and playing it safe. You're staying safe. Ever played Dark Devotion? No, I have not. Oh, damn it. And gauntlets, which is cool. Damn it.
What is wrong, unkindled one? Are you not a Lord Seeker? Head to the base of the high wall and seek the Lords of Cinder. Is this not the calling of your kind since ages past? What is wrong?
Okay, let's try to kill her and then see what happens.
What on earth? Whatever is this about? What on earth? Whatever. A lord he must be. My dear Prince Lothric.
So we get the Basin of Owls here. So it's a chalice used in an old ceremony in which Lothric knights take their vows. It is only a formality now, but it remains as an empty practice. Place this basin at a statue of a beheading knight. Why, that sounds like this guy. I can't turn that fast. It's all good. Discussing whether or not games are like Dark Souls is the Dark Souls of video game conversation. Seriously, I'll try to defeat Dancer now. I'll give her maybe like 2 or 3 tries, but I am worried about how much hard drive space I have left with the recording, so I will have to end pretty shortly, unfortunately. But I am also fine with dying just to get like footage of the fight. Not like this though. Does she have a grab? I don't remember. Maybe? Oh, I guess I was on low HP. Okay. Or she might just hit that hard. She has, like, the worst grab in the game. Okay, so I do want to try to get grabbed by that. Okay. Alright, Echo Fiend, thank you for dropping in and chatting and having a good time and hanging with us for so long. Have a good day. Here we go. Really? Oh, damn it. Oh, that's weird. I'm probably just not healing as much as I think either. And I'll give her one more try for today at least. And then we'll probably move on. I'm not worried about even like the challenge run. I might just even start summoning people just to get like more third person perspectives. Like I've killed all these bosses before. But... Reject screeching Let's Players, embrace last pro's calm and soothing voice. Thank you, appreciate that. True Dark Souls over here, you wondering why the war is like the way it is. Cyberpunk has you wondering why it is the way it is. She got me in the blind spot. Oh, sweet. Oh, that was super cool, actually. Oh, that was cool. Okay, I'll go for one more round since we got that grab. It's always the same story with these games, just one more round. Guiltily playing Cyberpunk while watching the stream. But, I mean, just enjoy what you enjoy. It's all good, man. We all here to vibe and have some fun, learning some stuff. Talking, getting grabbed by dancers. Bonk. I think my first time through I only died to her once, and that's just because like I didn't understand her movement. Not that I like super do right now. It's just weird. Okay. That's what I get. Alright, so yeah. Like I said, I do need to keep an eye on my hard drive space just so I can get everything recorded. So that'll pretty much conclude everything for here. Tomorrow we'll be able to start off at a pretty good spot, just going to the high wall for now. So everybody for coming in, I just want to thank you for leaving comments, even if you're lurking. I do appreciate the very warm reception throughout this entire stream, and hopefully you guys will continue to join me on future ones. Jeremiah asked what's my favorite area in Dark Souls 3? I think the Untended Graves, to be honest. There's something about that kind of, the mystery surrounding it. I like it a lot. Kind of reminds me of like the Ruined World in Chrono Trigger, but yeah. Alright. So yeah, everybody, once again, thank you for stopping in and having a good day. So, thanks again.